I want to see how people are still faring in Texas. We're gonna talk about that as well. I was talking to Jackie privately, and she had some thoughts. I mean, I guess people are starting to learn now. Actually, I don't think that's true. I still think the liberal blue checks are doubling down on their shaming and mocking and laughing at poor people. Like liberals are laughing at people in Texas right now because it's a red state, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I despise liberals, because it only takes 1 second of thinking to realize that vast majority of people don't vote, half the populace don't vote. So it's not. So you laughing at them, and then you laughing at people who vote for Democrat who's suffering under the code in Texas. And one thing I'll quote a few tweets of some liberal responses. I couldn't believe it. Forget what she said. Charlotte Clymer. Did she have one? Probably. She definitely had one. She definitely. I need to find. I want to see if I can find one. But what are your guys' thoughts on like the liberal reaction of Texas? I'll take it to Compton Jay since you're here. How you doing, brother?
What's up, sir? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good,
Um,
man.
the liberal reaction. I mean, all I could go off of is the liberal reaction on Twitter because I don't watch
Yeah,
main media, so I don't know what the liberal reaction is through mainstream media. But the liberal reaction on Twitter, I mean, you could you could seriously just take Biden supporters off and put Trump supporters. It's like it's the same sort of
yeah, exactly.
behavior that you're getting. It's just it's coming from the Joe Biden supporter side or the Democrats side, but it's the same sort of ridiculous behavior. But it shows to me that they're not serious about the things they talk about they
Yeah,
want to do, because why would you be laughing or making fun of or doing anything criticizing people who have no control over what's happening to them in that state? Like, you criticize the governor or something like that, but just talk about the people in the state is just
yeah,
it's
exactly.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they were saying
Yep.
that they were saying stuff like
Tell Jackie that was me.
they were saying political choices had consequences.
Uh-huh.
Like the people deserve to be there. Now I've seen liberals saying like, "Oh well, you guys in Texas not used to cold weather. You guys got to toughen up." I mean, like I literally seen tweets like that too. Like they were just kind of mocking the conservatives, even though the 11-year-old boy died
Yeah.
because of hypothermia. So should that 11-year-old toughen up? And this is the point I was making. And when I was a lib and I was attacking more of the Republicans, my biggest issue I had with the Republicans, and I would mock conservatives because I'm like conservatives, your entire politics is literally just owning the libs. Like that's the only thing conservatives care about. The only thing they cared about was owning
Tell
the
Jackie
libs.
to let my other page in.
But
I
who?
need my laptop in. That's from my laptop.
What Jackie do?
No, yeah, all right. All right. No, I need my laptop in. All right.
So, Carrie Barber, that one of y'all friends?
Yeah. No, that's just my other page. My
Oh,
other
okay, I see. I'm about to say, I don't know. I don't mind if you guys advise on one, but I don't know what the fuck that is. But I mock conservatives all the time, especially when I will attack the Republican Party because it seemed like they didn't care about anything other than owning the libs. And now I'm looking at the Democratic Party. I'm looking at the liberal class in the modern era. I mean, actually, in hindsight, you can maybe make this argument for a long time. Maybe I was blind to it, but now I'm seeing that their only politics it seems to be triggering conservatives. They don't care about actually helping people. You know,
No.
they don't actually care about the quality of life that people are living. They just want to own conservative. I'll give it to you, Jay, and then I'll let RJ chime in on that.
Go ahead, RJ. I mean, I already spoke. I was just gonna basically reiterate what you are already saying, that they're not really about the causes they stay there for. They're just really about tribalism and us against you, even if it means that people who have nothing to do with all of this political duopoly nonsense they're being affected. So, I mean, it's typical liberal behavior.
Right. RJ, what's your thoughts on the liberal reaction and your thoughts on the Texas storm in general?
I think it's pretty dreadful, honestly. I think one of the main components I've seen online, because what I do is I go on Facebook a lot and I see a lot of my conservative friends and classmates. And the sad thing about it is, like, even though if you could say liberals do want to help, the rhetoric and vitriol, hatred towards the South, and like
Yeah,
they feel like everyone in the South voted for Trump when you have to
yeah,
realize that the margins in Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana are very slim and
yeah.
gerrymandered. So I think it's very disrespectful to smear everyone down there as a Trumper. And even if they are, there are some arguments you could say they voted for Trump for economic reasons, but we all know he didn't help them. But honestly, the honest take about liberals, trashing, the Texas people in the South, like I feel like that's very hurtful. One, because it makes it hard for even conservatives to understand where you are, but in the end, conservatives view like liberals as leftists too, so it hurts us even if we want to help.
Yeah.
Like I had one of my friends on Facebook, he says, see, look at all the leftists laughing at, the conservatives and Trumpers suffering. And I had to explain to them, hey, leftists, we just want you to have better infrastructure so next
Yeah.
time something like this doesn't happen. It's the liberals are the ones who are happy and wanting to oppress you because they feel, all this hatred and vitriol from Trump, so they're taking it out on you. We're not like that. We just want basic goods and services that our government should provide, and not at the hands of someone and their generosity.
What do you think, Ron? Do you see the general liberal reaction, and what do you think about people mocking, like, poor and freezing people in Texas,
I
just to
mean,
earn cheap political points? What are your overall take on that?
like I said before, these people, they think that they are on a team. They think, when somebody else is hurting, they are winning. But when in all reality, we all are losing. Especially
Yeah,
when we call ourselves socialists or communists, and even some of the, even I even seen some of our fellow communists and socialists making fun of some people talking about, well, I'm like,
yeah, I've
hold on,
seen
what the
that.
hell is you? So like I said, well, people still got that mind frame of we are on a team, but you're not. They are on a team, the rich versus the poor.
Right.
Other than that, but I feel like you know I got a video pre-made already. I'm gonna send it out on Twitter pretty soon. But this is, you know, our time to let people know that the main thing that we have right now is socialism right now. The government can't help you. You're gonna need your neighbors. You're gonna need to work together in order to make these things happen in your neighborhood, your community, whatever. Y'all can really build some shit. Like I don't know how true it is of, somebody had got a phone call. I mean, somebody had called the police and they said, well, you're your own, police now and whatnot. If that's the case, then this is our time, to really sell socialism to Texas.
That's exactly what I've been saying, and this is why I don't understand people who are so fast to shut out any discussions with anyone on the right. Because I understand the arguments that we shouldn't work with the Boogaloo Boys or super far right racist people, but I've seen a lot of leftists, even like once in, even a lot of communists, they will just associate anyone who votes for Trump or the Republican Party as a far right racist, fascist, and that's not true. And I see a lot of people who will say that, and they live in a blue state. Like they live in blue states. They only around the liberal class, only around other lefties. And I notice I would look whenever I see people say stuff like that. If their location is available, I'll look at it. And without fail, every time I see people say, "Oh, we shouldn't talk to right wingers. We shouldn't talk to conservatives," it'd be like location New York, location
Yeah.
California, or if it is in the rest, they'd be a heavily blue city, or like Seattle, or like like liberal safe areas. So these people don't have any communication with conservatives. And I'm coming from a point of view of someone who sold cars in Kansas. So I'm dealing with conservatives left and right. I'm working with conservatives left and right. I was actually a good friend with a right wing radio host because I actually talked to this dude, Rob Carson. I don't know what we even talking about now. Hopefully, he ain't went full fascist like a lot of right wing people have done. But I would talk to this dude. I'm like, he didn't like Obama. I'm like, I don't like that motherfucker either. And now I actually talk to him. He's like, yeah, you don't think the government worked for him? He just had a different conclusion. Like you can win a lot of these people over, and I win a lot of people over when I talk to them in their everyday lives. Like that's something that the liberal class they don't seem to understand. We got Jaybefaunt. What were we talking about? We were talking about liberal reactions to Texas, and they're playing disregard for poor people struggling, poor people freezing, because they can make a cheap political point over conservatives. So, what's your guys' thoughts what your thoughts on like the liberal reaction to people actually freezing in Texas and the overall situation as a whole, Jaybefaunt?
It's hypocritical and unconscionable. The fact that, if this were in New York, California, they'd be crying tears of, oh, you guys got to help them. Oh, what about, doing all these things to help our country? We have to come together. And yet, they do the complete opposite because it's Texas. And it's like, it doesn't matter, what president won. I don't care if 100% of Texas went to Trump. I don't care.
Exactly.
There's people in their lives. So the fact that people are mocking and saying, oh, well, you guys shouldn't have voted for Trump, blah, blah, blah. It's inhumane the way they're treating people. And it really shows, liberals really showed their ass.
Their whole ass.
And so it's like, yo, you know what? You guys are no different. You're blue MAGA. And we've actually categorized them correctly. Yeah. Because that's the way they are.
Yeah, one of my friend Lauren was the first one I saw say that on Twitter, and I was doing my best to blow it up at the time. I'm like, yeah, they are literally blue MAGA. They stand for nothing but their party, just like the way the conservatives do. You see how you have Neera Tanden, and we're going to discuss her a lot more in detail a little bit later, how she runs, and she is, I made a tweet today, there's literally no one who should be considered himself left of center. Like, even if you're a centrist on the basis of a corruption, you shouldn't support her. But if you're a left of center and you're apologizing for Neera Tanden in any way, you're beyond the pale. So what made Democrats upset? Like, are they mad because Neera Tanden cut Social Security? Are they mad because they cut because she advocated for cutting Medicare? Are they mad because she advocated for literally stealing the oil of another country and forcing them to pay for it? And advocating for foreign policy exchanges that literally create a slave trade in Libya? They're not mad about that. They're mad that Joe Manchin voted against her. And then the Manchin Democrats, their argument for voting against her was the tweets, not the actual substance of what she's talking about. So it's literally just a tribal game. So Joe Manchin, he spent his entire career being a right-wing corporatist who supported every war ever, who supported every single austerity politics ever. But he's the worst. You know what? Go ahead, Ron.
Nick, you want to know what's funny about this? Because weeks ago, we warned it. Before he even got this job, we warned them that he's going to fuck us all over. They was like, oh, well, we need somebody you're not going to get somebody that's closest to the left as Joe is. I'm like, whoa, like, what the fuck kind of party is this? But anyways, now, after we have warned them, once again, you about to get bit in your ass. That's a snake. They're like, they ain't no fucking snake. That thing ain't even real. He just walk off. He's like, ah. We like, we told you. Y'all should have been the ones pushing Joe Biden to get him as far away from this cabinet as possible, and put somebody that's far, close to moderate, whatever the fuck is a moderate to these liberals. But yeah, we warned them. This is not our fault. This is nobody's fault but theirs. They should have advocated for somebody else. But,
what do you guys think? What do you think about this? Which is, it could be, or my theory is the reason they act similar, blue MAGA, red MAGA, is because they've both been propagandized by mainstream media and they don't even know it. So I almost see them as two individuals who don't understand that what they're watching is the WWE.
Yes.
Taking sides and in this intense fight. It's like, do you understand that this is a show? You're not really on teams. The two people in the ring fighting, they rehearse this. They're together. Like, they don't.
That's really the perfect way to put it.
Yeah, they actually believe the WWE is real. And I believed it up until I was like 6 years old. My dad was like, oh, no, this is fake. This is fake, son. I can't even let you believe that. But it's people who actually believe that's the case. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's literally the perfect point. The perfect point. Because I was making the case that when you look at Joe Biden and his record, I'm like, bro, he is literally worse than Trump in terms of how he handled the black community. Like, if you actually look at his record, the idea that Donald Trump has done more damage to the black community in 4 years compared to Joe Biden and his crime bill, his bankruptcy bill, which a lot of people don't talk about the bankruptcy bill. They don't even get brought up. The crime bill is easy, right? Because it's obvious the impact of that. But if you look at the financial hardships that black Americans have went under, and one of the reasons why we talk about reparations is the financial discrimination that they went through, that I went through. I told a story about how I got checked because I was discriminated on my first car loan. All this kind of stuff was because of Joe Biden. And when I actually got the settlement, because there was a big national lawsuit, Joe Biden was fighting the agency that got that done, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He was against that. And that's the only reason I even got that check. And he voted for amendments that made it harder to go after fraudsters like that. So I'll break this stuff down to liberals. Like, this is the facts, not the kayfabe, the actual facts. I bring this up, and then they block me, they yell at me, because they're like, no, how dare you say something like that? I'm like, bro, am I wrong or am I not? Right? Because so they believe in this kayfabe politics. Like,
that's old. That was 15 years ago. You think he really think like that now? Yes, motherfucker.
He still does. He still does. He literally still does. I put it on RJ. What's your thoughts?
I actually wanted to get to Compton's point before I wanted to get to.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
This nigga done jumped into the White House and shit. Hold on.
I want to add too that this phenomenon between what we leftists now calls Blue Anon versus QAnon. I feel like those two forces had names. They were around before they had names. Like, think about it. When Obama was president, the Republicans were jealous of Obama, not because of how great he was, because of how of an undying loyal following he had, no matter what he did. And so now when they had a guy like Trump come in, where his people, the Trump people, the tough, go out there and fight. Now the Republicans, they have their people to fight for. And so when you have this QAnon versus Blue Anon, see, Trump, what he did is he figured out in 2016 when he started bragging about the migrant caravan, all this other crazy right-wing bullshit, it gelled up the base, made them, recruit more people to come out and vote for him, which did kind of help. And so when Trump was struggling, that's why he did stop the steal, stop the count, which helped the base. Well, on the other hand, the Democrats, what they wanted to do is they did this whole Blue Anon people, like, oh, if you don't support us because of Donald Trump, you must be a Russian, Russiagate. That's what really bought that up. And so when they all collapsed, it creates this huge power vacuum, and then people get even more disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Like you see on CNN and Fox News, some of these people who are deeply Q people and who've actually risked their lives and professional lives going with the Stop the Steal, they're in what you would call workplace suicide. Like, they can't get a job anywhere, or it'd be very hard to get in the very same economic place. Well, look at those in Blue Anon. You're scarred for life, because if you believe Russia came to attack our democracy and install Trump, and then you're told weeks later, even after the Mueller report, you're pretty much screwed too. So you can't have any conversations with people, regardless if you are Q people or if you believe Russia attacked the country. It makes it hard to have any class analysis, have any type of education to what's actually true going on politically, because you have one side that believes Russia attacked our country, then you have the other side and Donald Trump saying, oh, Joe Biden's from China or whatever. So it just makes it very impossible, and it's very hard for me to be the objective one when you have both sides want to kill each other.
It's basically manufacturing consent. Yeah.
Yeah, Jaybefaunt, you want to chime in there? I'll give you a chance to speak on that.
Oh, no, I just wanted to put that in there. It's just basically manufacturing consent on both sides. Just like what he was saying, it was, in a nutshell, you see exactly what he was saying. It's like Fox News versus MSNBC. And it's like the two factions that are warring against each other. And meanwhile, in the background, you got the shadowy figures of the billionaires are playing and saying, dance, puppets, dance. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, just a group of one team that's funded by billionaires that's competing against another team that's funded by billionaires. And this is why I always try to explain to people that the Democratic Party is literally a group of careerists that are watching for each other's career. And that's what it is. That's why they defend each other. That's why it's so important to get Neera Tanden confirmed, because this is all about protecting Neera Tanden's career. This is her dream job, to be the head of OMB. So we can't vote against her, even though she's horrifically corrupt, even though she smeared the whole entire progressive movement as Russian bots and spread conspiracy theories that Bernie Sanders was a Russian agent. And that's why I'm glad that RJ brought that up, because that is conspiracy theory in blue and at the highest level, and that kind of stuff that Neratana advocated for. On top of the horrible policy, but we gotta support her because it's all about protecting her career and making sure that she protected. I wanted to, since I found this tweet, because this is kind of the perfect example. I try to screen share this, but I think Jackie, the leader, I'll read it so you guys see it. But stream, I'm gonna pull it up for my stream so you see. But I'll let you guys.
You can screenshot.
You
Screenshot in Zoom.
Do screen share. It said the host disabled the screen sharing, so I think you gotta let me do it.
For
the screen sharing or whatever.
But
this is I'm gonna put on for my stream. You can see my stream. I have the tweet from Jank on the stream, and this is why I literally just quote tweeted him. I was saying how this is why I don't understand how anyone like TYT. This is why I don't like TYT. I mean, they're libs. This is his take, and it's flawed for multiple reasons. And look how many likes I got too, by the way. Like, that's insane. I literally, and I read in the comments, I was seeing some liberals like, hell yeah, Drink, give it to him. I mean, a lot of leftists was getting his ass for this, but there's a lot of liberals that thought he did a great job for this. This is what he's saying in his tweet. Only upside of Texas power outages. Let me stop you right there. Upside? There is no upside to this. Period. Amen. The fact that you don't understand this make it so you're not an ally. I mean, we don't even know the human suffering at Texas right now. We get small stories that are coming out because of what's going on in Texas, but we don't know the depth of the struggle so far. Like, we literally got people reporting what's going on social media. I saw one social media post where one person said he literally saw a woman who was froze to death because he's walking to 7-Eleven. A woman froze to death on the street, and then a journalist reached out to them to get more information. It was less than 24 hours ago. So we don't even know the depth of human suffering in Texas yet. We can estimate. We can know there's a lot of people hungry, a lot of people freezing, but we don't really know yet. But so for the fact that he even say there's an upside to this is ridiculous. And then once again, this go back to the tribal partisan bullshit that we deal with Cenk Uygur and TYT and the fake progressive left, who care more about owning the conservatives, which I brought up again, than actually care about helping people. So let me finish the tweet. Let's see if I can get to it without raging some more. He said the only upside to the Texas power outages is people like Joe Rogan, who was so proud to leave California and move to Texas, freezing their asses off. Okay, let me finish the tweet before I lose my fucking mind. They said they went less government. Congrats, mission accomplished. I hope you are not asking for the government to come help you now. So
much of that shit.
Go ahead. Yeah, Ron, what you thought? I get you. Also, I'm not trying. Go ahead, Roman. I can ask your thoughts on.
Do you not know how much money Joe Rogan has?
Right, I was just about to say that.
Joe Rogan could have been on the same plane as
he got
Ted
generators,
Cruz, but we wouldn't even know.
He literally got generators. Like the idea that Joe Rogan and Elon Musk are freezing, like this is beyond brain dead.
And the less government thing, nigga, they privatize.
Yeah. And this is this neoliberal ideology.
How do he get paid for this? How and you know what's so crazy? Like I always tell these people, like, you got to look out for some of your, some of these podcast people that you listen to, because they want you to go in a circle. They need you in this, in this financial circle. They don't need you to go too far left or too far right, because if they actually start fighting for things and your life change, your life get better, then they can't, sell you their bullshit. But yeah, that's all what TYT about, man.
Compton Jay, what's your thoughts? What's your thought? You see that tweet from Jay?
Compton, TYT is, garbage to me.
Yeah.
They've been garbage for a long while. They've been garbage before the pandemic. Cenk Uygur in particular, I see him actually as a planted spy in the left because he
take money from.
How have you ever heard of a person in the left that's constantly trying to push the left to the right? That's who Cenk Uygur is. He's the Republican in left media that's constantly trying to push the left back to the center and then identify that center as the left, Like that's what he's
That's a
constantly
exactly.
trying to do. And it's, I mean, just the fact that he took the $20+ million from Wall Street, like, I mean, and then the union busting thing. I just don't understand any person who's a leftist who will even watch this guy. It's just so beyond me. And then why would you point out something about another rich person like what's his name, Joe Rogan, in a tweet about Texas when people are suffering? Why don't you tweet something out about the people suffering? Like, why don't you tweet that? You're tweeting something about another person who's a millionaire. Like, who cares? Like, I don't care about that.
Like, it's all about drama. And the funniest thing is when the critics of me, Rome, you yourself, whatever, they attack us and they say, what I'm doing is I'm only weaponizing people's anger. They say, "Oh, what are you doing? You just get involved in outrage porn. You just want to get people angry. We don't got no real solutions." That's literally why here, like, the people who give up trying to dispute what I'm saying, they be like, "Oh, well, you're just trying to get people upset. That's how you get clicks and generate." This is why I want to propose to you people, and this is why TYT got big. What's the difference between someone, even if I take their criticism at face value, what's the difference between someone selling anger and hatred of the government and someone selling hope? What I mean by that. So what Cenk would do, sometimes he's on the money where he point out corruption. When he points out how the Democratic Party is awful. He literally do segment on how Neera Tanden is horrible. Joe Biden's horrible. But then what do he do after that? Oh, just donate to TYT so we can keep fighting. We gotta keep fighting to elect just the Democrats, because that's the only way we can the only way we can end corporate Democrats. Meanwhile, just the Democrats literally just came out for Neera Tanden.
They're done. They're done, in my opinion. They, with that move, like I'm not even, the Justice Democrats might as well be the RNC to me. It's the same thing. After
go ahead, RJ.
Supporting Neera Tanden, she sums up corruption. I'm not even talking about Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, her corruption she entails everything wrong with Washington, everything wrong with the Democrats, everything wrong with the Clintons, everything wrong with the Obamas. Like, that's Neera Tanden. And then you're on there defending her, talking about we're in the middle of a pandemic. What does that have to do, confirming her? What does that have to do with whether or not you confirm this corporatist person? Like, that has nothing to do with it. And when I think she's the executive director or whatever her title is, say
she's
this
very high up.
CNN, like, I was already teetering being off the Justice Democrats just because what they produce in the squad. But this I jumped off. Nobody pushed me off. I just literally
that is
jumped
like
off.
The worst. What? Yeah. What's your thoughts, RJ?
It was very, honestly, because I've been through every political spectrum to get to where I am now. So, like, when Alexandria Rojas, she's the executive director of the Justice Democrats right now. She's been that way since 2018, I believe, since it was founded or whatever. Yes. But anyway, my point is I actually felt bad for her when she was on CNN, because this was during the Bernie hard time, when people on The View, like Joy Behar, and these other ones were trashing Bernie, saying, "Drop out, Bernie. You're the reason why Hillary lost in the first place." Yada yada yada. So they would have Alexandria Rojas, executive director of the Justice Democrats, they would have her on CNN. You know, they would give us one progressive, if you want to say now, and she would give the point of view for Bernie. But she would get attacked like crazy, nonsense, bad faith attacks. And so now when I look at it in hindsight, with her working with Neera Tanden, literally the spawn of Satan for the left, like, it's just terrible. You know, Neera Tanden, she's a Hillary-crat. I mean, she basically got a job from John Podesta when he left after he got caught with corruption with Hillary Clinton. And so it's just like, why would you align yourself with these people? And this isn't the first time. Look at the Sunrise Movement. I mean, the leader from there, she shielded for Biden. You know, it's just...
I volunteered for the Sunrise Movement. They was like one of my first they was like my introduction to like real activism because the KC Sunrise is pretty big here. So I volunteered with them, volunteered with KC Tennis before I even got into the Bernie Sanders campaign. So when I seen the Sunrise Movement kind of become a Democratic party operation in a sense where they mobilize youth and funnel them into the Democrat Party, I was deeply disappointed. But I'm like, okay, I still give you the benefit of the doubt as long as you are doing that for people who are supportive of the Green New Deal, whether I believe it or not. But them being, just like RJ said, being being pretty much Joe Biden defenders constantly and defend his use of fracking, the fact that he's not supportive of Green New Deal, and pretending that the Paris Climate Agreement is enough to fight climate change. Those kind of things was very disappointing. And what I always trying to tell people is I don't understand the objective of Justice Democrats and the progressive politicians anymore. Because I'm literally thinking like, did I misunderstand it? I'm literally thinking like maybe I was delusional when I first started, because I'm thinking, what exactly is the point of electing politicians who don't take corporate money if they don't stand up to one of the most horrific corporate ghouls in the world and they're attending? And when go ahead, Compton. I want right after Compton, I want to get to Jay, get chime on there. But go ahead, Compton Jay.
And Nick, this is what I wanted to say about this is that what these left organizations need to understand, or maybe they do understand it, they don't care, is that when you decide to team up with these organizations that the left has been talking about for years, or talking about, you are effectively jumping off the left movement's boat onto the corporate Democrats boat. Like, you can't, these organizations who think they can straddle the line, they can hold our hand as they're holding the hand of Joe Biden. Like, you can't do that. So once you come, like Sunrise Movement is another great example. You're doing great work. I want you to continue doing your work. But as far as me supporting you, I can't support somebody who supports this. Amen. Like, I can't financially support you if you're trying to funnel people like me to Joe Biden. I can't support that. I don't care. Spare me the whole Trump was going to kill democracy. Spare me the propaganda line. I really don't have the time for it. Like, I don't want to start using profanities.
Nah. We're chill here. I want to bring Jaybefaunt in here as well, and that's the point I was making on Twitter as well is we force people and we expect our politicians to listen to their constituency, right? That's important. Like, listen to the people who support and donate you. And why should people donate to the squad and to Bernie Sanders when we can't get them to fight? So what I mean by this, I was making this point during the first vote fiasco, but not even that. You can, once again, I don't want to relitigate that forever, but it also comes down to narrative because the point applies to that as well. We need them to stand up to the fight because you got to continue to give people reason to support you and campaign for you. So it's actually the electorally safe move to oppose narrative. It's the safe move to try and vote against Nancy Pelosi. I'll bring Jaybefaunt if I go on my other rant. What's your thought overall on Justice Democrat, Nero? What's your thoughts overall? You want to chime in on, bro?
The fish rots from the head. Who's at the top of these organizations right now is what matters to how these organizations conduct themselves as far as their principles and their values. So when you look at like who's leading the charge in the Sunrise Movement, who's leading the charge in Justice Democrats, who's leading the charge in Our Revolution, who's leading the charge in DSA, who's leading the charge in all these different organizations, and it seems to me that you have ones that they seem like they were quote unquote on the left, but then when push came to shove, it was like, I guess we can slide over to Joe Biden, even though he's not on the left whatsoever. And so they try to make a reason of, well, he's not Trump. The thing is like, it's like if I have one apple versus a pile of moldy bread and a pile of shit, I'm not going to eat neither one of them. I'm just going to eat that apple. Even though it may be a lot smaller, I'm not going to die from eating the other two piles.
I like that. I like that.
That's what it makes me like. And so they're like, well, it's not a pile of shit. It's just a pile of moldy bread, so I guess I can eat that, huh? And it's not as small as an apple. But the thing is that the apple is not going to kill you. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that when you look at these organizations and how they're now being in support of near Hampton, it's like, number one, you forgot the history. You forgot what you stood for. Yep. Now you're just shilling for contribution.
Yeah.
It's like what is the difference? There's no justice in Justice Democrats anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, the Justice Democrats, apparently it's justice to advocate for stealing oil in other countries. Because that's the tweet I put out today. I'm glad, I don't know where it is now. I'm glad it's doing pretty well. People think I send these tweets out to be provocative. But where am I wrong? No. So what I said,
you're not.
I said if you are progressive and you are voting for Neera Tanden and you're apologizing for Neera Tanden, you are literally giving the okay that for someone to advocate for stealing oil in other countries. That's what you're doing. You're saying that it's okay for someone to say we should invade another country, take their oil, and make them pay for it. We need to stop sugarcoating this shit because that is what they're stamping on. That's what they're saying is okay. Go ahead, Jay. I don't know if I could.
It's imperialism at its best. That's pure imperialism. I mean, the fact that they want to advocate for that, that's very anti-leftist value. That means if you're advocating for somebody like Neera Tanden, you are not a leftist. And we need to say that out loud and proudly say it.
I just want to make sure you guys see. I'm on screen. I think you guys are the same. I think Jackie said she having a hard time. I just want to make sure to chat and see everyone talking here. Just let me guys know.
My thing is,
but go ahead, Ron. What's your
thoughts?
What's your
thoughts? The Jank tweet.
A lot of these organizations, they didn't already funnel.
There we go.
So many people to the Democratic Party, and I don't think, I think what we do, it does make a difference. You know, we get people little by little, but they have organizations. You know, so I don't think they really even care anymore. Like, all right, we got Biden elected. Now we can just go all out. You know, we can take off the mask. And this is exactly what they are doing now. Everybody is taking off their mask. Everybody have solitude for each other, and nobody gets, they all get everything and we get nothing. We haven't got anything. They haven't even fought for, fight for 15 like they fighting for her ass. I haven't heard them say anything like this or forced to vote or nothing. Where was Justice Democrats at during this whole pandemic? I mean, yes, they might, got some fundraisers and shit done like that, but come on,
man. Like, why are they not?
That's poor people putting money in poor people. That's poor people for them. Stop it. Go get some shit done.
Go ahead, Jay. I'll let you chime in.
No, what I was gonna say is and CNN brought them on purpose so they can say, see, even the progressives are saying Joe Manchin. You get what I'm saying? Like, so these people, you want to get a seat at the table in mainstream media. We want that, but you can't. You gotta stop yourself from being used by mainstream media to prop you up to say, see, this awful Neera Tanden, even the left is saying she's okay. You got to stop doing that. Now, maybe the contract she signed with CNN doesn't allow her to pick and choose. Then that would be a contract you would have to deny because you're being used as a prop. And when that usage as a prop is going to make your organization less than it was. So, for example, like all of us here, we may have supported Justice Democrats 2 years ago or whenever AOC was elected. But now it's like what you're doing, your choice in choosing to team up with these corporatists, you're turning us off, which makes your organization now less sustainable, less strong.
And it doesn't make sense at face value. Like the strategy doesn't make sense at face value. Let me propose this question to you guys: Bernie Sanders and the squad being nice to Joe Biden, did that push Joe Biden to the left? Did that make him support $2,000 checks?
Hell no.
Did that make him support Medicare for all? Hell, dude, they said anyone who said it should lose all credibility. They said we're gonna put Joe Biden to the left. You guys realize he moved to the right on healthcare, right? He supported a public option, which is pretty trash, by the way, but it's still preferable over our current system. He backed away from that. He backed away from that, and now he's a supporter of a Cobra. I'm gonna see if I can find this article because I want to read the number because there was an article by I think Andrew Perez.
So when they say Nick, when they say he's not Trump, really?
Yeah.
Tell me where.
The only
tweets maybe, but I mean he's backtracked on minimum wage. He's backtracked on $2,000 checks. Now he's backtracking on this. He's issuing 31 new drilling permits. Like when is this not Trump happen? When is this not Trump gonna happen? Is my question.
My point. Kids are still in cages. I mean, look, what's going on? And what about the kids that are in cages that are in Texas right now that are probably freezing to death?
They literally
what about
freezing.
them?
They literally freezing. RJ, what are you about to chime in with?
I said, like, I hate to, shit on Bernie, but, because Bernie has opened our eyes a lot to politics too. But in terms of the political ideology and in terms of the policies Bernie Sanders stands for, we're right lockstep with him on that. But in terms of how you lead a movement and in terms of how you lead a political ideology in government, I mean, Bernie Sanders as a leader hasn't necessarily been that good, especially if you look at how he dropped out of the presidential race. I mean, automatically, kissing the ring to Biden right when he dropped out, automatically co-signing on all the incrementalist measures that he's been doing. And if you look at it now, like when you get Republican Senator Kennedy basically defend your supporters more than you do in that committee, I mean, that's I'm not going to repeat what Senator Kennedy said because we all know what he said, but to me, I think it's pretty bad. And even some of us on the left, when Joe Manchin went out and said, hey, I'm not going to support Neera Tanden, and we all know Bernie was going to do it because he's a Democrat now. But I think it's just disheartening, and if Bernie is willing to be for Biden, just going to stick being a Democrat, what do you expect the squad to do? Because that's their hero. That's who inspired them to get into politics. That's the one who endorsed them to get them into office. So it flows all the way down to Justice Dems, other organizations. Why I think DSA is starting to calm down too. So I think we're getting to this paradigm of, okay, we're just gonna keep doing what the Democrats say. It's fair and free to do it in the primary, but as soon as the general come, you got to be responsible. You can't be stupid. You have to play your cards right. And I just don't disagree with that, because if you look at the right, they don't give a fuck. They will say anything.
The neoliberals don't give a fuck. Look at Joe Manchin. Like, do you think Joe Manchin is doing kind of like, what if I piss off the Democratic Party if I vote against? They don't give a fuck. Like in the same way with Joe Lieberman during the Obama era when he killed the public option. They don't give a fuck because they fight for what they stand for. I'll let you finish, RJ. Sorry to be interrupted, brother.
No, you're right about the conservative Dems too. It's disheartening for the leftists to not show some backbone here. Like even my own parents sometimes they say I would love to vote for a progressive, but none of them have any backbone. They don't stand up, and I can't disagree with them because they're right. Well, look at it.
I think that, and I know maybe some people on this call may have this strategy. The inside-outside game is flawed, because if you're not a person who's strong enough to stand up to these people, and we have yet to see one. AOC went down in flames. Bernie, as we're seeing him go down in flames, and it's breaking all of our hearts to see him do these things. But but when Bernie Sanders does these types of things, this kind of proves to me, or proves the point that I made about a video, which is the left movement can't have a politician as its leader. And it's several reasons, but one of the main reasons, the top reason I give, is because a movement leader has to have the movement as the priority over everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Your party, but if you're a politician, your allegiance always to the party first. And you saw that when he decided to leave the movement and go ahead and pick Obama, option and drop out of the race. Like, this is the reason why we can't have that. We can't just galvanize around an election. We need to galvanize around the issues. So, I'm not saying that the left movement needs one singular leader, but having politicians as our leader, I just don't think is a good strategy. One, having a politician as a leader in a duopoly. It's not like it's an even playing field, and then we say, okay, a politician will do. But you're talking about a politician in a duopoly, which basically means it's set up for a Democrat or Republican to win. So I just think
right. He should have ran. Even if he would have ran his Green Party, you still would have been like, man.
Yeah, but the problem with Bernie is he doesn't want to be like Ralph Nader. And it's a good segue because the thing is, on the left, like, Bernie did the same shit in 2016. I mean, it was worse. I mean, to be fair, Biden treated him way better than Hillary, just to get that out of the way. But even back in 2016, when, hey, a lot of people say, hey, Bernie, fuck Hillary, run third party. And even Jesse Ventura, independent, whatever you want to feel about him, he was ready to endorse Bernie. Hey, if you do third party, I'll break my norm. I'll vote for you.
Howie Hawkins said he would give him the spot on the ticket. Go ahead.
Oh, really? Really? Okay, and so...
That's just another example.
Yeah, and so he said, hey, what are you going to do, Bernie? Let me know, because I got my people. We get your people. We can get this thing going. We could pull a fucking Nader, we could pull a Perot and fuck shit up, and it would have been fun.
Tea party that motherfucker.
And so, and Bernie said, no, I'm going to support Secretary Hillary Clinton, and that was the end of the story.
All right, so I want to bring Jackie in here, because she's trying to get me canceled in the chat. Like always. You guys know what time it is. She said she's here. Jackie, where you at? How you feeling?
Well, I've been here the whole time. What do you mean?
But I remember,
know I was here.
No, because I remember, and he said, he was like, yo, I'm going to get something to eat real quick. I'm like, I don't know what happened. I was literally thinking, like, I don't know what happened to her. I didn't know what was going on. But can we not get me canceled today?
I mean, if you would just read the messages.
Man,
literally all I asked.
I told you guys I need a producer. I'm like struggling here.
That's literally what I've been trying to do, but you have not been paying attention.
I know, like, and then I realized, like, bro, I ain't been watching the chat. Then I saw your chat messages, and I saw the other chat. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna get canceled for real. So, with that said, now we got you chiming in. Now we have Jackie that can set the mood. I think that's the proper way to put it. I don't know what, like,
the mood.
Because I was trying to say a nice way of having the angry black woman who would.
See, you
I'm just
son
playing.
of a bitch.
I'm just playing. I'm not trying to get canceled today. I ain't trying to get canceled today.
Hashtag cancel Nick.
But I think so. We was ripping on. I'm trying to see what Jackie got and get Jackie to chime in on here. You got any text what we talking about,
yes,
or what about the Texas
cater
storm?
Your questions to the one female on the panel, because that's not mansplaining at all.
See, look, I'm gonna get in trouble.
See, this is why I'm
gonna get in trouble.
How about Jackie talk about what's going on with COVID and stuff, because she's very knowledgeable about that.
I also want to ask her about the storm, because I know she got some feelings about that.
About what?
The liberal reaction to the storm. I'm mad that you missed. I'm mad that you wasn't here in that first part of the segment. But
literally was. COVID. I unmuted right after. Actually, I was unmuted when Rome asked to let his camera in.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
What's your take
the whole time?
Well, yep. This is going off the rails now, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, bet.
What's your thoughts so far? What do you want to chime in on? What shall we do? Oh yeah, like RJ said, COVID, Texas storm. What should we do? I want to get you involved.
Okay, so my thoughts are pretty much the same as everyone else on the Texas storm. When something happens, if there's a natural disaster, and your first thought isn't what can we do to help these people, it's you deserve it because you voted for the other team. Fuck you.
Straight up.
If you do not have the empathy to help out other human beings, let alone fellow citizens of the same country, but fuck country lines, like human beings are hurting. It doesn't matter why. Help them. And then in the aftermath, we can figure out what happened and we can fix it. But right now, they need help. Help them. And
That's how you get
meanwhile,
this vote.
what did Joe Biden do? He waited till the power had almost completely come back on before he was like, oh, yeah, I guess we'll send something. That is more reckless than George W. Bush and Hurricane Katrina, because at least
That's
he
a good
flew out
point.
there. Biden has no plans to get on a plane.
I heard someone
Okay.
say this is like Biden's Katrina.
No, it's worse because George W. Bush actually flew to Mississippi. Where's Biden? He's playing video games with his granddaughter. Like, seriously?
Mario Kart.
It's so
Yeah, exactly.
it's so easy to shit on Ted Cruz, and he deserves it. But that has provided a great shield for like the failure of our system on this. This is what I talk about. I want to talk about my main theme. I want to talk about the failure of the system, and the common theme for my show is how we live in a failed state. I cover many examples of this, and I mean it's not really hard to look. America's failed response to essentially every single disaster in the last 20 years show this. We just talked about Hurricane Katrina. That's just another one. Capitalism is a failed system because it's not designed to maintain a stable society during the worst events. And then what the capitalists say, well, they're not really a blight on capitalism because COVID-19, how are we supposed to stop that from happening? That is literally the merit of what makes the economic system work or not. It's like if you have an economic system that can't handle a crisis, it can't handle COVID-19, it can't handle a winter storm because of your neoliberal policies of deregulation. Which once again they attacking Republicans on it. They're like, oh, this is why we gotta vote Democrats, ignoring the fact that Democrats support deregulation too. Are your favorite leaders?
It was actually the Democrats who did the deregulation. It was Clinton who deregulated Wall Street, who did the It was.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Texas.
Who
Yeah, I know that.
Through with it.
Yeah. That's so. That what drives me crazy about the liberal hypocrisy because they will also say, and this is also I wanted to discuss regarding the Jank tweet because Jank tweet and the liberal and all the liberals that was just one example because I pulled that one because that was the only one I had time to respond to. But that was the overall thing for everyone. Now the same people who were repeating this talking point, which, dude, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's an effective attack on the Republicans. It's a good attack, but I mean I think you're a piece of shit if you use it. I think you're a piece of shit if you use it, but I do think it's a good attack on Republicans. But it also showed your whole ass. But the same people who were saying that talking point, the same people like Cenk Uygur, who was attacking people for voting Republican, these are the same people who would get mad at me when I said I'm not voting for Joe Biden because of what he did for the black community. So what's the difference? What's the difference? So if you're mocking Texas because Texas voted for Republicans or whatever, and this is why their situation, are you gonna mock the black community for voting for Democrats because Democrats destroyed the black community? Barack Obama tanked black wealth. Joe Biden read the crime bill, wrote the bankruptcy bill, and now he had no plan to give relief checks to people. Are you gonna mock black? Because that's why I hear. That's why I hear. Am I wrong on that?
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it's funny when you have. It's funny too. It's amazing how the Democrats work. So you make us vote for a vice president that threw us in jail, and make us vote for a president who writ the laws to throw you in jail. It's amazing how that works.
And I want people to realize when you look at Texas, people are only surviving because of mutual aid. That's it. Our system and our government has failed us. Capitalism has failed us. And this is what neoliberals won't admit. Like they can come to the only conclusion they will admit because the only thing they care about is only conservatives. So like, oh, this is what happened when you vote Republican. Once again, as Jackie brilliantly brings up, that was Bill Clinton. That was Democrats that were pushing deregulation. That literally centered American progress. That's one thing that was all about, deregulation. Once again, going back to Neera Tanden, she's very relevant. Now, to give credit to AOC, Beto, I just saw a tweet. AOC officially raised $3.2 million. Once again, I'll give AOC a lot of criticism, but I'll give her a lot of props on that. But most importantly, the local organizing in the area for stepping up. And I think people have to come to the conclusion. I really hope this is the conclusion people are coming to because of the COVID crisis, the winter crisis, and the fact that our government literally abandoned us. That we have to, before we completely overthrow the system, we have to have much more comprehensive mutual aid. This is something that we have to focus on. I saw this tweet a little bit earlier. I want to let's see if I can find it. There we go. I got it. I'll pull it up for the stream to see it here. But this tweet pretty much represents what I think the mindset of Americans should be right now. This is a pretty viral tweet. A lot of you guys probably seen it already. But you see, the government does not care. We, the people, must help each other. And I'm very happy this tweet is doing numbers because I want people to realize this is what we have to do now. Like, we can't rely on the government to even do the basics, like provide relief during the COVID crisis, to help out during the winter crisis. Once again, the only thing that's going on is mutual aid. I'll bring in Rome on this one. What's your thoughts?
Ooh. Man, damn, where do I start?
So I didn't mean to put you on the spot, brother.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. Like, look, there is nothing that this government is doing to help you. Like, even if we get them $2,000 checks or $1,400 checks, it's been so long that shit don't even matter. It's gonna get ate up by everything. Like, you won't even probably touch it by the bills that's auto pay on your cards and whatnot. And a lot of people getting their houses. Like, I'm seeing devastating things, and they don't have this infrastructure like a place like Michigan have. We built for the winter. But when I'm looking at this destruction, I see, I see death and I see hurt. But I also see, a lot of hope out of this, and I hope that people get their ass together and really do something for their communities. I know it's a lot of people, we're going to have to really word this shit right when we're dealing with these people that hate socialism, hate commies. When we telling them that they are socialists by heart, socialists by nature, this is what we got to break down during this shit. Like, we got to get down there, man. That's all I'm going to say. We got to get down there, help them, and let them know all you have to help you right now is the fucking commies that you've been trolling online for 30 fucking years. Because when it comes down to it, we are the ones that really want you to have these things. Like, we don't want you to go to war. We want you to have your infrastructure. We want you to have these fucking, we're not against you. We don't want this big government, whatever the fuck these conspiracy theories is, but we really need to push socialism, communism on these people. Because, not to say like, all right, this is time to, throw me the alley-oop, we're going to fucking slam dunk it. Not to fucking, be so, heartless about it. But it's the fucking truth. That's what we got to do.
I can kind of add on to what Rome was saying. I think the best strategy, too, in states like Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, we have not only a higher amount of population of black people, Hispanic, but also a lot of white working class that's either been ignored by the Democratic Party or pissed off by the Republican Party. This is the first step we have to do. I do agree we have to fucking wreck the Republican Party shit, but don't funnel those people back to the Democrats. All the Democrats going to do is, oh, we'll see, you're with us now. Things are better. Give it to us. We can fix the problem. But we know 4 years later, nothing is done. Then those very same people that got funneled into the Democratic Party, they go back to the Republican Party and become Trump people. It's what happened under the Obama administration. So my point is we as leftists, what we have to do is whoever leads the Republican Party, grab them. If they're for one thing we're for, hey, let's work with them on that issue. Let's get them together, because if we prevent them from getting to the Democratic Party and we get a bigger base, we can weaponize that against the Democrats. That's kind of the outsider strategy. That's what I believe we should do, because if you look in Texas right now, the infrastructure, because I'm in engineering, so like the housing, the way they're built is different from in the north. I'm from Michigan, so we have homes and infrastructure built for colder climates. In Texas, they don't have it that way. So when you have mass amounts of snow, because snow has a lot of weight, also too with water, they don't have the type of insulation you would have not only to shelter to keep things warm in a colder climate. So when you have a big snowstorm, ice storm in a Texas area, not only is the infrastructure compromised, but the insulation gets wet, it goes through the ceiling, and then you get water damage throughout your entire house. That's what I've seen in Texas. So that's a huge problem you're gonna have, And also too, with the homeless crisis that's going on right now, there's one major issue I saw. So Texas and many of these southern states, what they do is to avoid the federal regulators, they create their own power and electric grids. That way the state legislatures and the state government controls how they dole out the power, who they want to work with in terms of the energy contractors, and that's a big problem. And also, too, to be fair to Biden, he did send some money in federal aid to Texas, but the Texas power legislature and the Texas state government is blocking that aid from getting there. And so that's kind of the main issue we have right now is that in order for this Texas government to maintain their grip on power, they're basically scapegoating leftists and they're scapegoating the federal government, saying, "See, well, we didn't want the commies to come in and control what we do here, so we have to block everything out." That's just what
we gotta push for nationalizing damn near everything. Fucking airports, why not? Because it don't go like, bro. Like we gotta really let people know if you just stop, nothing happens. Like everything stops. Like they might have to come to your fucking door to drag you to work type shit. You are the power, you are everything that they say that they are. These politicians aren't anything without you. And if we just work together and stop working for these motherfuckers, stop carrying the water for people like Joe Biden with a racist career, we can get somewhere, man. But the thing is, now we have these issues with the People Party, and we got people that don't trust the Green Party. Now we got what other party is coming up? Now Trump is making a party. We gotta make our own party. We gotta get our foot in the door with our own party, because if Trump is successful with making his own party, even if he knocked off a third of the Republican Party,
hey man,
that's a motherfucker. That'll show us, we can get that shit done too.
So I like what Ron was saying when it comes to nationalizing these utilities, because there were stories that was coming out how capitalists are already profiting off of this tragedy. How energy executive companies like, this is gonna be literally the jackpot for us. And I always find it weird when people they pretend that the concept of environmental racism is super hard to understand. Right? Cause check the story out. I'll put out my stream here. Very predictable stuff. Texas power outage highlights inequalities for minority neighborhoods. Which, once again, very predictable. Because we are the ones who always bear the brunt of these issues. Like, every time there's massive weather events, we're the ones who face the most issues. Now, if you look at the articles, this what makes it worse when you actually dive in. Let's put it here. So what they was doing, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, they was managing the flow of power, and they was trying to make sure that they manage it properly. And they was siphoning power in some areas and make sure some areas have some power as well. But if you look at, as they cover here, if you look at the urban and downtown areas, the most affluent people, they will usually get the most electricity. But meanwhile, when you look at the people who was exempt from the blackouts, it was underprivileged neighborhoods. They usually had the worst responses. And this was something that was happening throughout the country, because there was a lot of rolling blackouts in multiple states. Texas just got hit with the worst of them. But that black community was always the less priority that the government put out there. They want to make sure they protect the rich, make sure the people who live comfortable lives, they're comfortable. Meanwhile, we are pushed to the side. And that's what we're seeing with the response to the Texas power grid. So I want to bring Jackie in here. Anything you want to add to that? What's your thoughts on like the response and the struggle that the minority community going through because of the lack of government response on this?
Sorry, I was trying to solve a different problem.
No, it's okay. I'll bring Compton Jay. I'll get you in after that. You got anything you want to add, Jay?
Not to this particular point, but the next thing that you're going to be bringing up, I do have some things I have in wait.
This sounds good. Sounds good, brother. this is the main thing that always when I talk about change our infrastructure, when we're talking about privatizing, nationalizing the industries. That would
That nigga trying to get me canceled again.
nah, man, we on the right side. We on the right side of the crowd. They all know. I just want to make sure I give you guys some speaking time. Jay, anything you want to add before I move on here to the next story? I think
Hey, Nick, will you check the chat?
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you.
Bro.
He ain't looking at none of that shit.
Hell no. Last time I'm shuffling through links, trying to read Twitch chat as well.
Hey man, it's some background noise. That's it.
Oh yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah, that's where we're trying to identify.
Oh, so that what they was complaining about?
That was it. Yeah, that was it. So,
yeah.
But go ahead.
Now y'all wonder why I don't once again. I usually don't do my episodes on Saturday. Now you guys know why. I usually don't do it on Saturday, but I want to do more of these black leftist panels as well, and I gotta make sure I don't talk too much. I'm trying not to put you guys on the spot. But I'm like, all right, I don't want to take all the damn time. I'll work on that. Let's see what Twitch is saying.
Okay, can you please address end prison labor?
Yeah, I literally about
see that message one more time.
I'll literally just about read that out. Why aren't leftists? Oh, yeah, I did see that message a few times. Why aren't leftists talking about our revolution supporting neoliberal Democrat Karen over the progressive candidate Gary Chambers in the race to replace Cedric Richmond in Louisiana? So is your name actually Karen, or are you being hilarious? I haven't looked that much into the story. Let's see. I'm gonna type in Cedric Richmond. Oh yeah, I know who Cedric Richmond is. Now I think about it. That's the dude that gave that speech where he called out that public official for shopping during a crisis. Let me Google. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Cedric Richmond is the Louisiana rep, and he lives in a district, or he governs a district that has.
No, I think it's someone else. Go ahead, Compton.
Yeah, he governs a district that covers a district that has a chemical plant, and this chemical plant is so bad for the area that there's a section of where he represents called Cancer Town, because that area has cancer rate 50 times the national average.
I actually did follow that. I was not too familiar.
He's the most fossil fuel corporate Democrat friendly person was in Congress at the time. He was the most corporate friendly fossil fuel Democrat. Yeah, he's awful.
So our revolution they're supporting the neoliberal? Who?
Which our revolution? Our revolution, the national or LA?
I'm just
I was asking Jackie, is it national or LA, or who asked the question?
Who asked the question?
In prison labor. He just said our revolution. He didn't specify exactly was it national or whatever. But once again, I actually haven't heard about that. That's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't say he asked the question about 45 times. It's not specific about exactly what race, just the race.
My guess would be national.
Yeah, that was my assumption. My assumption was national.
The National Party. So the question is, what do we think about the National Party supporting a corporate Democrat over a progressive in a race? And it's the same thing we say about the Justice Democrats, the same thing we say about the Sunrise Movement. We have these organizations that start out great, they're leftist organizations, and then when they decide, hey, let's try to make this team with these corporatists, it never fails that they get infected, and then we lose them. I'm not gonna say we, but it's my philosophy. This inside-outside game will always turn leftists, make them less leftist. There's no way to do that.
Great point.
There's no way to join corruption and not be corrupt. It's preposterous. You can't join a team who is in bed with fossil fuels, for example, and then expect that team to be down with the Green New Deal. It doesn't make any sense.
There was a great tweet. Let me say that. I'll let you chime in, RJ. There was a great tweet that I saw from communist Twitter. It actually went pretty viral. And he said, and then on point. I wish I remember the name. It'll take me forever to search for it, so please forgive me. But the tweet was, Bernie Sanders, LC, and the squad has done more to push the definition of what it means to be socialist to the right than they did to drag the Democratic Party to the left. And I was like, damn. Like, that's literally what they did. There are a lot of people that call themselves socialists. There are a lot of people that claim they're anarchists and all that stuff. But then they apologize for Joe Biden. The only thing they did, Bernie Sanders and AOC, what they did is they pushed the definition of what it means to be a socialist and communist to the right, instead of actually bringing people to what a real socialist and communist is. Sorry, I'll let you chime in now, RJ.
Yeah, I was going to say about the Our Revolution thing. Now, what these leftist organizations don't have compared to Democrats is if Democratic voters say, fuck you, Democratic Party, I'm not going to give you money, they just go to Wall Street, big tech, and that's how they get their money. Our Revolution, that you could make an argument, okay, they could do the same thing in silent, but what they usually do is, okay, if leftists are pissed off at us, we're going to go to the social dems, we're going to go to the liberals, we're going to go to the political people to get money, and in order to get their money, they have to go to the right. So I think that's another argument too.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I mean, all of these tactics that seem to be failing, all of these tactics that seem to not be coming up to par, is because, in my opinion, there's only one real way to get what we want, and that's a general strike. There's no other way. There's no other way. Like you can't change a corrupt system by using the corrupt system to change it. That literally makes no sense.
You letting the police
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to lose weight, so let me go to McDonald's. Wait, it doesn't make any sense.
And then our left is so weak because I figured I got pushback for what you were saying, Compton Jay, because I remember me, my friend Beth, and a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of larger accounts. We was literally calling for a general strike. We literally reaching out to local. I would reach out to people in KC10. I would reach out to people in KC Sunrise. I mean, we did everything we possibly could. And this is where my criticism came of the progressive leaders. Because if we only people, like a general strike, and the criticism I got, they would say, how are you going to start a general strike? They were like, do you know how hard a general strike is to manage? This is how weak the left is in America. The left is a joke in America. Their argument legitimately was, we shouldn't advocate for a general strike because it's hard. And I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck how hard it is. We should start right now. And we were saying this in the summer. Last summer, we were saying how, because there was reports how the homelessness crisis is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. People are going to freeze to death. People don't have food. And then while this is going on, Bernie and the squad pretend everything is just normal. We got to beat Trump. We were like, bro, we need a general strike. You guys are so focused on electoral politics. Fuck that shit. People are literally dying right now. You guys are leaving people behind. That is what we were saying. So we couldn't get a general strike started because how are you going to get a general strike started without people with massive influence? Me with my 55,000 followers ain't shit. I mean, it's fun to brag about, I guess. But 55,000 followers is not shit. And when it comes to creating a general strike. You know what we need? We need Bernie Sanders with all his countless UN contacts, his massive email list, AOC's massive email list, all these organizations that can be started from the top, be like, all right, let's organize these people because we have a massive organization. And once again, even with that being done, it still will be hard. But there's literally zero chance of that happening unless we have someone with influence and power like Bernie Sanders leading the charge. And then we had stupid leftists that was getting mad. They're like, oh, well, you saying that Bernie and the squad should advocate for a general strike? Why don't you do something? I'm like, I'm just some fucking guy in Kansas City. Like, what do you expect us to do? If anyone, AOC is by far, not even close, by far the most popular member in Congress. By far the most people that follow on Twitter. Imagine, and once again, we don't know, and people will have a hard time imagining this because our reality is different. But imagine while people was going hungry, while COVID was out of control, while we had hunger strike going on ICE, we had all this stuff going on, right? Imagine LC was constantly tweeting about the need for a general strike every day, calling and explaining why. Like, remember when she did that Twitch stream? Fucking like 500,000 people watching that. Imagine she did a Twitch stream with 500,000 people watching, all the corporate media, and she's spreading awareness about general strike, how they work, why we need one. So once again, people had no imagination. They was like, how are we gonna get that done? I'm like, bro, I got a million ways we can do it. It would be hard, but that's how we do. That's how it will be done.
I mean,
It's
just
my
look.
philosophy.
I mean, just look at.
Okay, Compton and then RJ after that, just so we have order. Compton, go ahead.
No, I was just say it's my philosophy. Anybody who's chiming in with negativity to me immediately doesn't have a seat at the table.
100%.
Like, okay, you're a leftist, and everything I'm bringing up as a tactic, all you have is a response on why we're doing it that way. What are you doing if you're not doing like you're not somebody I want to team up with, because you're going to be steady at every point questioning what's going to happen, questioning why are we doing this, questioning. It's like, get on board and push. We don't need you to get on the other side of the thing that we're trying to push forward and push us back. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, chime in with a good idea. Hey, I think that's not going to work. This is my idea. You know what I'm saying? It's all in an effort to make it better, not to tear it down. And that's my opinion about those types of people.
Amen.
It don't matter what you put. It don't matter what you put up, and you see it a lot on Twitter. Oh, do this. Okay, I did that. Well, why not this? It's just a never ending. It's never ending. Nothing is ever good enough. And I feel, and it's also about this general strike. People think that. I don't think that things are to a point to where we're going to have a successful general strike right now. I don't see that until liberals are starting to get affected, until Trump supporters are starting to get affected, where they're saying, hey, actually, when Trump supporters start saying, hey, I'm an ally with the liberals against the Republicans and Democrats, I don't see us being ready for a general strike. And then my last point about a general strike, and this is about one of the podcasts on my channel, we're not ready for a general strike because this is the point he made. We're not ready for a general strike because we don't have general strike. We don't have revolutionary discipline. Mm-hmm. Like, anybody can run up on Twitter. He said this: the CIA could plant somebody on Twitter, run up and say something inflammatory that throws all of us off track. And then now we're all talking about this other crap instead of staying focused on the revolution. And that's where I'm saying we're not there yet. Until somebody can say some bull about Bernie, bull about AOC, and it doesn't take our eye off the ball, we're not ready for that. When we go ahead and follow that cheese, we follow that string, that thing that's meant to distract us, I just don't see us being ready, because a general strike, you got to be focused.
Yep.
You can't one day be off of it and then another day be on it. You got to be focused against these people.
I feel like that brings us full circle to the Cenk Uygur situation. When we were talking about forcing the vote, the aim was to get Medicare for all, and it became about Jimmy Dore versus Sam Cedar.
Yes.
Right. Nobody gives a shit about either Jimmy Dore or Sam Cedar. We want people to have health care during a pandemic. If we can't get health care, we are never going to get it.
Perfect example.
And
great example.
And I want, because I'm glad that Compton Jay and Jackie brought that up, and I'll let RJ chime in right after I bring this up, because the tactics we've seen the anti-force to vote left use, and then the same tactics we've seen with the left that will speak out against a general strike. Once again, I am not calling anyone CIA. I think that's I think that does. I hear you. But this is my point. I think that does more harm than good. But I think it's important to call out people who use CIA tactics. Because I think we just say you're CIA, they're like, no, you're CIA. No, you're CIA. No, and then all right, and then we go in a circle. Now, what I can explain to you though is that how you're actually using CIA points. Now let me pull this up on stream. Let me check my tab. This is the general instructions that the CIA used to do when it comes to disrupting leftist movements. And as we read this, I want you guys to consider the mindset of the force to vote left and the left that's against the general strike. Now, the first one, insist on doing everything through channels. Never permit shortcuts to be taken in order to expedite decisions. Now, what they highlight is the most important. Make speeches. Talk frequently as possible and at great lengths to illustrate your points, long anecdotes, personal experiences. Number 3, when personal, refers to all matters to committees. And once again, this is what we heard a lot from the people who apologize for our role in class. Oh, we gotta make sure we on this committee. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. We gotta make sure we follow this organized structure. There's a long-term plan. Bring up irrelevant issues. Now, this is one of the this is why I brought this up more importantly. Bring up irrelevant issues as frequently as possible. Now that goes over what Jackie just mentioned. That's why they was bringing up Jimmy Dore all the time. Once again, am I calling Sam Cedar CIA? Nope, I don't got no evidence. But you acting like fucking CIA, bro. This is literally CIA shit. Haggle over precise wordings. Refer back to the matters decided upon the last meeting and tend to well, a lot of these things go over meetings. And number 7, advocate caution, be reasonable, and urge your fellow confederates, that look weird to me, to be reasonable and avoid haste. Now 7 is literally first of all in a nutshell. Advise caution. They will say, "Oh, we can't do it because what if Medicare for all failed? What that? We kept saying who gives a fuck." Then once we debunk that talking point, they go back to 4, bring up irrelevant issues. Well, you getting behind Jimmy Dore. That's why we can't do it. It's the same thing, and these patterns I see all the time. Like whenever we criticize legitimate issues of the Democratic Party, whenever we bring up the general strikes, whenever we bring up like direct action that will hurt the power structures, we see the so-called left, Sam Cedar left, they always try to speak up against that. Now, I'll let RJ chime in. What you about to say, if you want to add on to that, or what you about to say?
I was gonna say too before I get to my point. I don't, Nick, when you said that you don't like it when people say that they're CIA ops. Well, you're not the one whose Twitter account got canceled like 10 times, like Rome. And as for you, Nick, all you agreed with Jimmy on was one issue, and then you became a Dore stan all of a sudden, like all over Twitter.
Yeah, I'm glad that you noticed. Because I'm like, people tried their best to drag me into this shit, bro. I barely ever talked about this. Like, before the vote was going on, and in my streams, I barely talked about it. I tweeted about it maybe twice, but there was people made a chart, and it was like, Socialist MMA is on this side of this. I'm like, what y'all talking about? Like, when you actually got people following you, like, and people say stuff about you, it's so weird. I'm like, where you guys are getting this from? And Jimmy Dore put some of my tweets. Yeah, the G Hive. Yeah, they love doing that. They were saying, "Oh, Nick support Jimmy Dore and the Boogaloo Boys." Like, what? When did I ever chime in on this shit? And then
smeared.
And then Jimmy
smeared by association.
The Boogaloo Boys were yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't even know who they was. Like, I don't care about that shit. I never follow that. Like, we got KKK here in my area. Like, Boogaloo Boys never been on my radar. They never been a threat to me personally. So I'm like, I don't know who they are. I don't care. I literally said, I'm like, whatever. Just work. If they want to work with me on my terms, this is all I said. I said, if you have someone who wanted to work with me on my terms, I don't give a fuck. And then people were like, oh, niggas a Boogaloo Boy supporter. I mean, not a lot of people. It's a G Hive, like Jackie.
But that's the lack of revolutionary discipline that I'm talking about. You're just basically giving examples of it that you just say anything and it just derails the whole movement. You can't do that with a revolution. Like you can't be derailed or to be a useless or a fruitless revolution. And that's why, to me, we're not ready. And we have some of these leftist groups that's not helping the situation. Put it this way: imagine having the power. You said about AOC. Imagine if she was tweeting. How I phrase the question is: imagine having the power to create or get the ball rolling, like really rolling on general strike, and you don't take advantage of that. That's to me is the thing is the critique I would have for AOC, is that and Bernie Sanders, to be quite frank with you, is that you have the power, like literally Bernie Sanders and AOC have the power, have the gravitas that they can literally get a general strike.
Yeah, exactly.
They can do that, and they're just choosing not to do it, wanting us to go through the normal channels when the normal channels is nothing but incrementalism. Look, we've been working on getting this voting thing right for 200 plus years. How is it we still having voting problems? Right. You get what I'm saying? Like it's a incrementalism is the side dish to capitalism, especially predatory capitalism. It gives the illusion that you're doing something. Black people have been getting freed for how many hundreds of years? You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and that was my point. I
But
mean,
why didn't you just freed us again?
ever to exist is getting Black people out of oppression in the United States. That's the longest incrementalism that has been going on.
that's
I
such a great point.
like the point you made too, Compton, about how we're not ready as a movement. And like if you look at it 100 years ago during the Great Depression, I was in the 1940s with the bonus marches from those who came back from World War One. They were poor because of the Great Depression. They wanted to get their bonus early to feed their family. You know, they had what you would, the word used like revolutionary patience or something like that. Like they were able to wait it out way longer. I mean, they had their strikes for like 90 days or more most of the time. So they were able to pump the brakes. Like we can't have a strike for longer than a week now. So that's
because everybody want to go home and look at each other on the news and see themselves on TV.
So
they don't want to stay out there.
So we
that's what I said. The pain is not there yet. There's pain, but the pain has not reached the threshold to where liberals are gonna say, okay, I was down with the DNC, but this shit is fucked up. Not this no more. Like until we've reached there, which I believe we're on our way going there. Until we reach that, it takes a leader. So I'm saying it needs to be, one or the other. Without that leader galvanizing us, without that AOC, then the way that we're gonna do it is by the pain level has to be increased.
I think there's two parts to that, because I do agree with you saying that we don't feel the pain yet. I'm kind of the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm saying our pain tolerance isn't that high. Like if you look at it in the field today, like we're just, okay, this hurts, ow, 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 Democrats save us. We don't want to feel the pain. Because if you look at our forefathers, I've done research in the 1930s. I mean, there were families back then that killed their dog to feed their family. They were homeless, cold, had no money, starting from scratch. I mean, back then, if you were upper middle class and you lost your money in the stock market, you were on the streets. You were just like someone who was dirt poor. So if you look at today, even though we've made some changes economically, socially, in terms of our construct, it's gotten better. It actually allowed our pain tolerance to be lower and allowed us to be more manipulated by the establishment forces. So I do believe that, yes, I want things to get better, but our pain tolerance and how we look at these situations is still far too low.
Yeah,
absolutely. Go ahead, Jay. I'll let Jay chime in, and I'm gonna change gears for our last segment here.
Okay. It's just like, I kind of tell this especially to women who are dealing with douchebag men. When you've had enough, you truly had enough, that's when you make a change. The left, the right, some liberals, nobody's had truly enough. There are many people that are suffering, but it's not to a critical mass where they're like, that's it, I'm hitting the street. The enough point was when George Floyd was killed. That was a point for a critical mass. And we actually had an opportunity to carry that over into a general strike. Of course, you had somebody with some huge influence, case in point, LeBron James. And then what happened? The movement killer, a.k.a. Obama, came in with a scythe, and killed the movement before it even begun. So, yes, I completely agree. We need someone who has a huge popular following. And there are some people who I would love to lead the charge, but they're just not popular enough. The only two people who I can think of really are Bernie Sanders and AOC to lead that charge to say, okay, we need a general strike. But unfortunately, and this is something that a lot of people have to get through their heads, and it's hard to accept, but Bernie is establishment. It just is what it is. He's been there for 40 years. He's been in the government for that long. So the thing is that, yes, we have a sympathetic voice within the government, but like Compton said, he's, he's a politician, and we can't have politicians lead the movement. It has to be somebody on the outside. So seeing that Bernie Sanders, is as popular as he is, I wish he could do it, but we have to have somebody who is huge and popular that's outside of the realm of politics.
Absolutely.
Lead the charge.
And
I feel like too.
Go ahead, RJ. Go ahead, RJ. You can finish your thought. And we need to do our last segment to wrap up.
I feel like Bernie sometimes confuses me. Like did you truly disagree with Hillary, or is it because you didn't like Hillary? Did you truly disagree with Biden, or is it because now you actually like Biden? Because if you look at it now, Biden's actually to the right of Hillary. At least Hillary said, "Hey, drop Medicare to 55." Biden said 60, and now it's like, we're not gonna do shit. So, what are you doing, Bernie? Like, that's what I'm struggling with.
Like, do Bernie no longer care about corruption? Because this ties into our last segment that we're gonna do. Because the reason why I want to bring this panel together originally, we went for an hour and a half talking about a lot of subjects, but I wanted to look at Biden, and I wanted us to grade Biden, give us our thoughts on Biden thus far, and our biggest praise or disappointment for Joe Biden. I don't think it'd be a lot of the former there. But when it comes to corruption, since when did corruption not become a big deal for the progressive movements? And that's what we covered when it comes to entertainment. Also, in entertainment corruption, it's not a big deal no more. I thought this is why we were electing you. I mean, there's important policies. Medicare for all is very important. The progressive policy is very important. But a lot of people don't remember. I remember because I was following it while it was happening at the time. The original goal of Justice Democrats was to end the corruption. Like, the whole point of them was not taking corporate money. So my whole question I always pose to people is, what's the fucking point? It don't even
matter. Like, the corporate money,
exactly.
That's nothing. Why even go for corporate money when there's so much sheep out here that will throw hundreds and thousands of dollars at you? All you got to do is tell them what they want to hear. Man, these people believe the stripper. They really believe that stripper. And it's crazy because I believe, like, when I go out and I talk to people like in the hood that has no lights, no gas type shit, and I'm really trying to help somebody, and they don't understand why their life is like this, and I'm talking to them, I'm trying to, like, look, putting the pieces together, they're like, no, there's no way. So, a lot of shit is going to have to start with educating the mind, educating the hurt, educating the poor, and going to their homes and letting them know, like, look, turn off the fucking TV, because a lot of people in these fucking hoods, man, they watch CNN like all day. CNN is in the barbershops, liquor stores, all that shit. MSNBC, that's all you're gonna see. I'm like, turn this shit off.
By design. And once again, like, when I was canvassing in South Carolina, I mean, I'll literally ask people about Bernie, and the media narrative was that black people didn't like his platform. And anyone who was actually putting work for Bernie in his campaign, I know Rome did a lot of work traveling, talked to people on Bernie's campaign as well. Anyone who actually did campaign work knew that was bullshit. They knew, because I was talking to people and literally they'd be like, they either did know Bernie, which sounds crazy to us, but these people only had CNN and MSNBC in the background, where Bernie is just an afterthought. Whenever they did cover, maybe 2 minutes, afterthought, not that big of a deal. So it's not the repetition. When you're not into politics, you need that repetition to start learning who these people are. And I realized that once I started talking to people, I'm like, yo, these people they don't know who Bernie is. And then they did know who Bernie was. Their perception of them was completely off because they listened to CNN and MSNBC. So they don't even know what is really true about him, the people who actually did know him. Now, I want to get back, because this last segment we'll do here before we wrap up, because I want to go around and I want to ask anyone what their general thoughts on Biden thus far. I'm going to start off first. And this comes to my original point I was making, how for some reason no one care about corruption no more. No one care. Like, I thought healthcare was supposed to be one of the most important issues for the progressive movement and Medicare for all. Look at this article. I read this article a while ago, and I covered it on my show. This one here. But this one covers how Joe Biden backed away from the public option. But the reason why this is so important, because it highlights the corruption of Joe Biden. So my question that we all lay out to people, and that we kept telling, like, how is Joe Biden better than Trump thus far? My good friend lay out the non-voting felon on Twitter. He literally put this. He literally said that Biden has been worse than Trump thus far, and people melted down. And I'm glad that he did pretty well in that thread because he literally held it on like, bro, I want you to explain to me what's the difference between Biden and Trump, and no one was able to do it. Maybe I'll find the tweet so you guys talking about. I think he did a great job on that tweet because as soon as I saw that tweet, I was like, bro, he about to get some shit for this. But I think he's right. Like, I knew he was gonna get some shit, but it was ratioed in the sense that a lot of people comment on it, but he got a lot of likes as well. So I think he did overall pretty well. But this is what I'm talking about when it comes to corruption, because there were a lot of things that people was yelling me about for in terms of voting for Joe Biden, and one of them was his support of the public option. Like, you gotta vote for Joe Biden because you support public option. How can you consider yourself a progressive or leftist if you don't want to advance on healthcare? And when I was talking to Vosh, and people got mad at me, I'm like, bro, I don't like. He kept asking me on his platform, I'm like, bro, I don't care about his platform. Why you keep bringing up his fucking platform? I don't care. Like, I literally told him that Joe Biden is not gonna do none of the things he said. Over time, my position on during that interview is gonna age gracefully because he would literally listen like all his platform. I'm like, bro, none of this shit matters. None of this shit matters. Now let's dive into the Biden corruption. This is why he backed away from the public option, and this is as corrupt as it gets. There's no Trump corruption that is more corrupt. There's a lot of corruption on Trump, but this is the same shit. So you had a healthcare insurance group, the Partnership for American Healthcare Future. They spent $4.5 million advertising attacking Medicare for all. They launched a ton of ads attacking Bernie Sanders and helping Joe Biden. That led to Joe Biden's strong performance in South Carolina. But now, if you look at their tax returns, and you look at who they donated to, that's what this article lays out here. They were open supporters of Joe Biden. Like so these healthcare groups that was heavily supportive of Joe Biden during the primary, to sum up that long article, they gave money to Joe Biden throughout the primary because he was one of the few candidates who were like, nah, I'm gonna take corporate money. Fuck you liberal fucking hippies with their no corporate pledge. So he took money from these healthcare groups, right? And then he drops the public option, which is exactly what they want. So what did he install instead? Let me pull the article right back up for you guys on the stream here. He replaced it with an expansion of Cobra. Mm-hmm. He want to push people to the ACA plan. Let me make sure I got on my stream here. Once again, he want to put people into this ACA plan, and they want to subsidize Cobra. And this will be an amazing plan for the health insurance company. I mean, the ACA was already a boon to health insurance companies where the profits skyrocketed, right? Now, but this is the worst part. It's not like they did this because they expect this to be the great healthcare plan. He did this because of corruption. Because look at these plans. Look at these plans. While the marketplace was billed as allowing people to shop for health insurance, the reality, the state exchanges offer few choices, and most are expensive. We're talking about the program that Joe Biden is pushing for and advocating here, and the results of that. The average low-cost premium for a bronze level plan under Joe Biden's plan will be $321 this year. And then you have deductibles, like when you look at this plan, nearly $5,900.
Damn.
So Biden healthcare plan is not affordable for anybody. Like when you talk about middle class, there's studies that show most people can't afford a $400 emergency. Most people can't pay these goddamn deductibles, and that's why Obamacare was hot trash. Because people be covered, but they can't afford the deductibles, can't afford the healthcare. It was unaffordable, and Biden want to go back to that and subsidize Cobra, and that's just one issue. I mean, healthcare is something that's dear to my heart. I talk about this all the time. But when you look at this corruption, now let's add up everything I just talked about. Biden takes money from healthcare insurance groups. They run on a public option because he can't advocate for Medicare for all because he don't want to grow in more popularity than it already is. Can't risk that. So they run out of public option because anything else will make him unelectable. He know the progressives will be all over him. The AOC, Bernie, them being naive fucking idiots. Because I said I don't believe anything on his platform. They were like, oh, Brian supports a public option, even though he takes health insurance company money. Blah, blah. Bro, how do y'all not know he was going to lie about this? So he turned around and lied about healthcare. That's just one issue. I'll bring up this one issue because this highlights the corruption. Once again, when you see him take healthcare insurance money and then him back away from health insurance, I mean, from a public option. Once again, I think it's trash, but it's better than our current system. My question I want to pose to you people is, how is that any different from the standard corruption we've seen from Donald Trump? There's no lesser of corruption. There's no lesser evil when it comes to corruption. Either you're corrupt or you're not. And now, once again, I can go. I'm gonna turn to my panel now and ask their opinion on Biden, because I can go all day on this. I covered how he backed up on our Iran deal. Once again, another thing that people told me that you gotta support Joe Biden because of Iran deal. I literally tweeted this out in October. I showed it to you on my show before. I said, bro, I would not be surprised if he escalate tensions again on Iran. And people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, how do you guys not see this coming? The president do not change foreign policy in a massive way, and that has never happened in the last 3-4 decades. The president used to come in and they continue the policies of the previous president. They do that because they get direction from the CIA, the intelligence community, and the military-industrial complex. And that's why, despite the fact that Donald Trump ran on anti-war, he still continued the wars and expanded them because he not calling the fucking shots. That's why there's no way they was to let Bernie with his anti-imperialist measures win. Zero chance. New York Times story in the summer. The Democratic Party was one of the risk party damage in order to start Bernie Sanders. Their plan worked. The Voltron plan worked. But if that plan didn't work, I guarantee you they would do shit even worse to make sure he didn't win. That's my conclusion I come to now. And now, go ahead, Jay. I'll let you go. I've been rolling for a while.
I would give Joe Biden a D. And there you go. Reason I would not give him an F is because he literally could be even worse than he is. Like,
yeah,
he
that's fair. That's fair.
$200 survival checks, you know what I mean? Like, it could be just a whole array of things that could be literally worse. We could already be on, he could already be sending troops to Iran for a war. So that's the only reason why he doesn't get an F, because he can be a lot worse. But everything that Joe Biden is doing and what you're describing is neoliberalism. So regardless of who's in the White House, neoliberalism is always there.
Exactly.
Neoliberalism is always there. And then going from Donald Trump to Joe Biden is worse, in my opinion, because you're going from incompetent neoliberalism to competent.
Yeah, that was me and Jackie was saying on our show all the time. You literally just train someone who's more competent. Go ahead. Sorry, finish your thought, Jack.
Yeah, no, and I'm just saying. So you have that. You go into competent neoliberalism, and then you add the fact that the mainstream media will cheerlead for them, for the Democrats, instead of the Trump, instead of Donald Trump. And a perfect example is this pandemic. Nothing has changed about this pandemic, but their reporting has. Joe Biden is the one that's in office. But what has changed about the pandemic?
You notice that they're not obsessed.
Like, we still want to reopen schools, and now because Joe Biden is saying it, now it's a different story. So that's why he's worse, because you have a competent leader with the cheerleading squad, the ultimate propagandists in mainstream media cheerleading for him.
Amen. And that would make him very, very dangerous. And I cover this on my show as well. I know I'm not gonna dive in all the sources because I want to focus on this segment. But the people in the media are openly admitting this. Jim McCosker was asked about this because Jim McCosker rose to prominence because how hostile he was to Donald Trump. He was asked about whether he would oppose Biden and be adversarial to Biden the same way he was adversarial to Trump, and his response was no, because he said, and once again, he didn't even hide it. When I read the interview, I was shocked that he literally just said it. He said there is professional solidarity among the reporter class to go after Trump because he attacked the media. I'm like, bro, you said the quiet part out loud. You literally said the only reason the media was hard on Trump because the Trump hurt the little media's feelings. Because you calling them fake news. That was it. So overall, I don't want to cut Jay off. So overall, you would say Joe Biden got a D. Is there anything else you want to add before I move on?
Well, one more thing. I would give him a D, but Joe Biden will absolutely be an F by the end of the term, because we will be in another war. There will be cuts to the social safety net. That's coming. And all he's going to do is virtue signal and distract while he's doing all this other stuff behind your back. And that's going to happen. And then a mainstream media is going to create this rosy picture. Everything is great, just like they're trying to push this. His approval rating is 62%. Last point I'm going to make. If you don't take anything away from what I said in this conversation, approval ratings and polls are meant to convince you, not inform you of what people think. because the people who are looking at it, who wasn't part of the 62%, they're going, well, if everybody else says he's pretty good, then he must be pretty good. So now you're not going to challenge him on different things. And that's sort of how it works. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well said. Well said. So, I had Jackie. Jackie be next. Jackie, overall, what's your thoughts on Biden thus far? What grade will you give him? And why will you give him that grade? The floor is yours.
I think Jay was quite generous with that D. I would give him an F because the first thing he did was come in and undo the one good thing Trump did.
Yeah.
Trump put a limit on insulin, and
I remember
one of the first things Joe Biden did in office before giving us the stimulus checks that he promised were coming out, that he of course backtracked on, before implementing any kind of plan on the pandemic, which, by the way, he said, like, during the general election, he said he had this great plan. 2 days in office, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything. I can't do anything other than what Trump did, which means you never really had a plan, so you were lying. Before doing anything that's going to materially help Americans, what did he do? He undid not the ICE things that everybody was trying to, everybody wanted the kids out of cages. I don't know why y'all thought he was going to take the kids out of the cages when he's the one who put the kids in the cages, but whatever. No, the first thing he did was to undo the executive order that Trump did that put a cap on insulin so that the insulin prices could spike during a pandemic. If you don't get an F for that, I don't know what else you could get one for. Like, what else is qualifying for it?
Explain that to me, Jackie. I didn't hear that. Say that part again. So Donald Trump had an executive order that capped the profit or the price.
Yeah, I found it.
For insulin, and then Joe Biden came in and undid that.
Yes.
Correct.
That was one of his first executive orders.
Here's the story.
Undo the executive order that Trump did. Because remember when Trump first came in office and he said that his plan was going to be so much better than Obamacare, and everybody's like, you literally don't have a plan. And he's like, oh yeah, and then he did this executive order that put a cap. He's like, see, I'm going to make medicine cheaper. And he basically just, like, it really only put a cap on insulin, but at least it was something. Yeah. And that was the one thing that Biden undid. So for that alone, you get an F. Not to mention lying about the $2,000, saying, "Oh, I meant only $1,400," and hey, I want to bring Republicans in so that they can drive it down even lower because I really don't want to give you anything at all. And honestly, we're gonna we met March so that hopefully we can kind of push it off till tax season and just turn it into a tax credit because that's what Republicans do. He is no better than a Republican. He is a Republican. Let's just not lie to ourselves.
He's a Mitch McConnell Democrat. That's what I call him. Literally the same ideology. And I'm not talking about the 90s Joe Biden. I'm not talking about 80s Joe Biden. Yesterday I played a clip where he was literally saying he agreed with Mitch McConnell on economic priorities, like trickle-down economics. That's why he was advocating for the Bush tax cuts and making it permanent. And he said, well, the only bipartisan agreement that we come up with was economic policy. That literally what he said during his press conference. That was never covered. That somehow did not get. I remember this was resurfaced like a few weeks ago, and everyone was like, "Why the fuck didn't this get resurfaced during the primary?" Because it was a very damning clip where he pretty much was saying, "Yeah, the tax cuts for the rich is economic policy that we must advocate for." This is the story that Jackie was discussing. I'm not going to go through the whole article, but this is the Biden administration freezes rule on community health center insulin discounts. And the funny thing is, man, I'm gonna turn the pound to someone else earlier. I'm not gonna be too long on this, but I'm very, very fucking tired of the media apologizing for Joe Biden because I'll cover this on my show and the liberal responses to this. Because while I was looking for the story, there was a Snopes article that was like, "Oh, technically this is not true." There was social media people saying this, but there was technically temporary. Like, no, bro, there's literally no reason for Joe Biden to do this. Because I was curious. I was curious when the story dropped. I was like, what's the argument for doing this? And the argument from liberals and Joe Biden administration, when you actually look into the story, is they said the people who was providing the insulin, the healthcare, they said this will be unnecessary because this creates more bureaucracy and a middleman. Because they said they was already providing savings to their customers when it comes to insulin prices. So the community health centers that was saying, they were like, we already saving people money on our insulin, and now the only thing you're doing, you're getting the government in charge, and that slowed down the process. But the media took that and spin it like, well, people actually okay with Biden freezing this. No, people was not okay with this. Customers were not okay with this, and they were not saving money. That was the healthcare centers, and the media was inaccurately reporting that. So imagine, I'm trying to think of a scenario that would be as hilariously backward as that. As that. Almost like so, sir. I almost can't. Imagine you had people passing out food. This is the most basic example I can come up with on top of my head. People passing out food, right? And then the people who organize and selling these food, they're like, we got great discounts, like Price Chopper. Price Chopper in my area, local, they do great savings for people who are part of the membership plan. But then you have people who still couldn't afford the food. And then the government like, all right, we gonna put this order in place to make the food more affordable for you guys. Then they halt that order, and then the grocery chain was like, we already providing savings for people who are, look at our discounts, look at our savings. That's literally the same thing that's happening with this story when I actually looked into it. And then once again, I looked at Snow. I didn't read the full Snow article. I might cover that. And then when I was looking for this article, only reason I'm bringing this up because they were like, it's kind of true. And anyone who knows Snow is literally just they just apologize for Democrats. Literally ran by people who donate to the Hillary Clinton campaign, and they were doing defense for Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. So whenever there's these, whenever people criticize the Democrat Party, they will always use technicalities. Well, technically that was only a half truth. Like no, this motherfucker halted drug prices, and that hurt the local community for doing that. But anyway, that's my spill. I apologize for that. Let me I'll get to RJ next. Overall, what's your thoughts on Joe Biden? What grade will you give him? And you don't have to be super long, but what's your reasoning for that? For your grade?
So my overall, I'll be in the middle of Compton and Jackie. I'll give him a D-. Yeah, mostly. Okay, so I have like a couple points. So I have the good and the bad. I have 5 good things he did and 9 bad things he did, and like 2 things I'm half and half on. So like one thing I felt was a good thing is it kind of avoided the impeachment nonsense because it kept him on focus of COVID, and plus it would force him to pick both sides a little bit. Now, to me, I just thought it was kind of useless, especially since it's within the 100 days of his presidency. So I give him credit for that. I also kind of give him a credit for kind of avoiding the insurrection talks about, oh, we need to punish these people and create new laws and stuff. To me, that's BS as well. I like that he didn't double compromise. We all know he compromised initially, but I like that he didn't do it even further in terms of the stimulus checks. You know, even though it was supposed to be 2,000, but he brought it to 1,200. At least he didn't go even further. So, you know, the bar is the floor.
Yep.
I also like that he rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. Once again, that's no Obama incrementalist thing, but okay, it's better than nothing. Once again, the bar is the floor. I also like that he endorses alternative energy for climate change. Yeah, but I have some concerns about who's going to implement that and who can control that. And here comes the bad, which is this is great. Rolled back the 2K checks. Rolled back on healthcare, so like single payer, all the stuff he said it's going to do. Rolled back on that. Rolled back on the Iran nuclear deal. We discussed that earlier. Shilling for near attendance. So that's the funniest thing is, oh, Uncle Joe loves to say, oh, I'm going to bring America together. You know, we're going to work together. We're going to get rid of the pain in society. Yet you bring the spawn of Satan into your administration, and that's supposed to make both sides happy. Okay. Brought in the most establishment pieces for his government. So like Janet Yellen, some of these other corrupt neoliberals. He stopped pushing for $15 minimum wage when he has all the power in his party to do so, but he says, oh, I'm so concerned about Republicans, and I'm not sure if it's ever going to finish. It'll finish if you make it finish, damn it. He increased want for more warmongering, so, you know, him with Venezuela is going to be worse than Trump in terms of Venezuela. You know, but of course he wants to fix things in Yemen. We'll see how that goes. Took money from every big interest group, took more money from Donald Trump. So that scares me because now every big interest group, big oil, big energy, big Wall Street, that's big energy, especially now. Like they gave money to Trump into Trump and Biden like crazy. Let's see, reverse Trump's executive order on insulin. That was pretty bad. That the one good thing Trump did, that's gone. One thing I will say I'm half on is the whole Buy American thing. I feel like it's just a copycat from Trump, but if incremented well, it could be good. But if it's just okay, let's listen to the American corporations, the American oligarchs we have, and then force the American people to buy from them at an inflated price just to say it's American, then I disagree with that. Like in terms of us using and building up our manufacturing sector and working with unions like you fucking promised, then that would be great. But this is Joe Biden. One thing I would say half and half on is like alternative energy again. You know, it could be a good thing. Obama tried to use this law or whatever to regulate emissions and stuff for electric cars and also for gas vehicles. If implemented correctly, it could be good, but we all know Biden's too old and doesn't have the political courage, and so that's why I gave him an overall D-.
Sounds good, man. That's a pretty comprehensive breakdown. I just now realized I didn't give my letter grade throughout my whole entire rant. And I actually, like, during Ario was thinking, I'm like, damn, I'm kind of torn on this. But I go with D. And the only reason I chose Nick, I'm sorry, the only reason I chose, forget what your chat came up there and fucked me up. the only reason I picked D instead of F. And once again, I was debating this in my head. I don't know if this is enough. Only reason I did D instead of F because he proved me wrong on one thing. I thought that Joe Biden would be more hawkish on Russia than Trump. But it's so funny. He's been easier on Russia than Trump thus far. When he got back into the nuclear arms agreement and that nuclear arms deal, I was kind of shocked. Like, damn, I didn't know he would do that. That's the only reason. Like that is the only reason why I'll give him a D instead of F. Also, because I think he could be worse. Just like Compton said, I think it could get worse than what he's doing right now. But I definitely see the arguments for it being an F overall because he's been an absolute failure in terms of what he promised. But I'll give him a D instead of F just because I'm surprised that he got back into the nuclear arm agreement. That's the only reason I chose that. If he was hawkish on Russia, I would give him a straight F without any hesitation. But him backing up on Iran deal is tragic. Actually, man, I was saying this is hard because I'm like, I want to give him an F because his inability.
Overall, you came in, even the little things that he did promise, he walked back on.
Yeah.
Like, overall, that's a failure. Like, if we was to really test this in a public school, he'd still get a goddamn F. You know, Bush didn't even leave his ass behind.
Yeah. So why are you talking? What you might well chime in since you are in. What's your grade on Biden thus far and why wrong?
Yeah, I feel like he get an F. He get an F for walking back everything. He get an F for just being him, just being.
That's fair.
He just a fucking failure, like all around. But as far as you know, him in the White House, yeah, that's a failure. Lying about the student loan debt and lying about telling the public that he can't do nothing about it with an executive order. That's a lie. That fuck that nigga. That's a F. That's all I really got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I can see because there's different levels of F. Because there's you can get a 15% and be 50%. So that's a pretty strong argument for giving him an F because he's not technically F yet, but he can get worse. But maybe he is already F and he dropped to 50 to 15%. Once again, I was thinking. Go ahead. I think that was Jackie I heard.
That was me. Yeah. I know it's rare you hear my voice. It's okay. Here's the thing. The reason why he deserves an F, whether y'all are going to give it to him or not, but let's just be real.
I'm not going to fight it.
The reason why he deserves an F is because since he has been in office, have people's conditions materially gotten worse? And the answer is yes.
Yep.
And could he have done anything to make them better, but didn't?
Yes.
And the answer is yes.
That's a powerful
Did
point.
he do anything to make people's lives materially worse? And the answer is yes. There is no other grade you can give him.
Even with these executive orders,
people's lives worse.
Even with these executive orders, we have people coming back on, us talking about he's only been in for a month. Like, nigga, you know how many executive orders he just signed?
Dude, those excuses make no sense. Those excuses make no sense.
He could have signed away. He could have got rid of medical debt, student loan debt. He could have legalized marijuana. It's so much shit he could have did.
And the reason why
On
those
the
excuses
first
make
day.
no sense, because you guys realize, and this is what I was telling people, like, expect Biden to get great coverage in his first 100 days. The people are like, oh, he just got in. That's dumb, because you guys realize that the president usually gets best press during the first 100 days because he got a ton of political power. So people were saying, oh, Joe Biden just got in, so you can't be too hard on him. No, the first 100 days is supposed to be when you do the most shit. Like, that's when you got the chance to actually, you literally have, he got 60 fucking percent approval rating for maybe media. I barely fucking believe that number, but I saw the approval rating like 60%. And that was all the presidents. All the president approval ratings are high when they first get in, and then they already had the executive orders they got promised. So actually, your first 100 days as president is supposed to be the most productive, not the opposite. So people who saying, "Oh, he just got in," that's why we shouldn't expect that much for him. That is like the exact opposite.
What are they saying that to explain what? He just got in, so he shouldn't give us a $2,000 check? Like, what are they saying?
That pretty much that too. That's one topic they will bring that up on. Oh, how can you expect him to get released so fast? You just got in.
He said immediately.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Don't
Like,
they have like?
I didn't
Where are you running to be the
he
leader
said
of
it,
the
but
nation?
go back to my grade.
Right back, y'all.
But like I was saying, the reason I gave him a D is sort of like what you said, Nick, because the F range is so broad. In my own brain, I need to be able to have a distinction when this gets way worse, because this is going to get way worse than it is right today, right now. It's going to get way worse than his presidency, and I just don't. When it gets worse, I need to be able to say, yeah, we're at the F, and I don't want to give him the same letter grade, and that's the reason why I'm giving him a D, because it could be way worse, and it's gonna get way, like, we haven't even done any of the wars. He hasn't cut any of the things. He hasn't done any deals with the Republicans to cut any taxes. That's all gonna be coming. It's gonna get like way worse than it is right now.
Yeah, and I agree with I agree with a lot of the points that Jackie. Sorry, Jackie. I won't be long. I'll let you take over after this. I would say the only reason, and people always say, how do you predict that Biden's gonna back away on this campaign promise? How you do? Like, bro, it was obvious to me. So I guess, like, I agree with a lot of what Jackie's saying. I say the only reason I personally probably give him D, because I thought he was gonna be worse. That'd probably be the only reason. And Jackie said he ain't fixing any one line. That's a good point. That's a good reason to give him F. So I'm not really disagreeing on that. I was just saying, I think like, a lot of people are like, Biden way worse than I thought he was be. I'm like, no, he actually haven't been as bad as I thought he was gonna be worse than this. But he has been doing a horrible job. So that's my rationale. Sorry, Jackie, go ahead.
Well, a couple of more things. He's also going to bring back the mandate, which nobody can afford right now. Yeah. He has no plans on helping the people through this economic crisis that is not only ongoing, but is about to get exponentially worse. And I do agree with Compton Jay that he is going to get even worse. But to me, the difference is he's at 50%, which, like, when I was a kid, a D like ended at 59%, and it started at 59%. So from 0 to like 59% was an F. So he's at 50%. He could easily end up at like 2 or 1.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he's, when you guys were talking about like, oh, is he worse than we thought? No, he's exactly what I knew what he was going to do, because he has almost 50 years of showing you what he was going to do. He's also a pathological liar. So I didn't think we were going to get $2,000 checks. I never put any faith in that, because he's a pathological liar. The only thing that I knew he was going to do was bring back the mandate, because if you really want to know what Joe Biden is actually going to do, don't pay attention to the words he says on CNN or to some little kid on a fucking town hall. Yep. Pay attention to what he says to his donors in the back rooms that are not supposed to be reported. That's the truth. When he said nothing will fundamentally change, he meant it. And look who is paying him. Those are the people that he is beholden to. Those are the only people he gives a damn about. And also, you have to remember, and we keep saying this, and I think people think we're kidding, but we're actually not. He is actually a Republican. He's
Dead
he
ass.
genuinely is a Republican, but with a Democrat name. Like his policies, if you go back through his history, he was to the right of Reagan. And Reagan is the gold standard for conservatives. So
I mean what I say. I mean what I say.
exactly. So like am I surprised by anything he's done? Not at all. Am I surprised he like acts like Texas is another country or something? Nope. He, as a matter of fact, with his dementia, I'm surprised if he would know that Texas is part of the U.S. But that doesn't mean that he's not failed. So
I agree.
because
I hear you.
his like you were saying, when he comes in with that first 100 days is when you can get the most done, especially when you have both the House and the Senate. That's the time to get everything done to build momentum so that you can do more later. You don't build momentum now, you're not getting anything later.
Think about that, Jackie, what you're saying. Think about that. So the Democrats have the House, the White House, and the Senate, and nothing is happening right now. They're on vacation.
But I'm not gonna violate the Constitution.
Happening.
That's not true. Something is happening. They went on vacation.
Different things. Like, drill out a bunch of different legislation here. What's going on? Y'all on vacation.
I'm not gonna violate the Constitution. Read my lips. Hear what I say. Damn it! I'm not gonna violate the Constitution.
Yeah.
Hey, Rome. Before I put the question to Jay, my good friend Jay in the chat, he wanted to know how high you are right now.
Oh shit, man! I'm like,
he was cracking me up. He was like, bro, what? He said the way Rome chill in his seat, bro, he has to be fucking high as fuck.
hey, I'm good, man. I'm just chilling, man. I'm like, I ain't gonna say I'm red, man. Let's just say I'm like, one of them high niggas. I'm like a Wiz Khalifa or something.
Nah, we 420 friendly here, bro. We actually encourage it. Anyway, with that said, I just want my boy Jay cracking me up. Anyway, Jaybefaunt. Now the pressure on you. You heard A1 scores. You heard us argue about it. So the pressure's on you. Will you get Joe Biden and why?
So I read in an article recently that Joe Biden is thinking about doing cuts to Medicare. I'm on Medicare. Not to mention that there is talks about him doing escalations militarily. And the backtracking on things like the $2,000 checks, of course, there is the way he's treating people in Texas right now. There's so much to critique him on. And that being said, I give him an F. You know, he is making people like the question always comes up every election. Is your life better than what it was 4 years ago? Our life hasn't even been better than it was last year. In fact, it's crazy because Donald Trump actually gave us more in survival checks than Joe Biden has.
Yeah, that's a devastating
That's
fact.
not true. I got you the $600 down payment. Now you get the $1,200 equals $2,000. Listen,
Dude,
Jack,
it literally killed
here.
me. It killed me when Bernie fucking repeated that shit.
Yeah, and my question is like, okay, so the whole $600 thing. Who gave us the $600? It was Donald Trump. So if you're trying to say you're trying to add the $600 onto the $1,400, then does that mean that your administration is an extension of Donald Trump's administration?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One government.
Is that what Joe Biden's trying to tell
The
us?
real question is, where'd they get that $2,000 number?
Yeah.
They got it because Trump said it.
That's the devastating part.
Right.
Well, and originally, who was some of the first people to say it? Some of the first people to say $2,000 was people like Bernie Sanders back in March.
And Trump was like,
And
cool,
then
fuck
Donald,
it.
yeah, and then Donald Trump, he listened. That's the crazy part. Donald Trump listened. Joe Biden doesn't even listen. So
Because Donald Trump just want to be popular, man. Like, if enough black people was like, look, we'll vote for you if you did this, we're gonna vote for you. Do it now, we're gonna vote for you. He gonna do it. He just want to be popular. He don't give a fuck about none of this. Like, it's bringing the troops home.
The irony is, we actually could have pushed Trump to the left, because, like you said, like there was a point when the pandemic first happened. Trump actually said in a press conference, "I'm thinking about we might have to, I don't know, expand Medicare and make it for everybody."
Yeah.
Right?
He literally said that. Joe Biden, in the middle of a pandemic, if it passes both the House and the Senate, would you sign it? Nah, I'd veto it.
Remember they brought.
And here's my point. If Joe Biden did some of the things that we are advocating for, re-election, well, he's not going for another 4 years. But his popularity would go through the roof.
Yeah.
But, like I said in the tweet, it is not lucrative for him to do so.
Amen.
Because he gets his money from his donors.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, his bribers.
Yeah.
That's who he gets his money from.
Yeah.
So therefore, to pass actual legislation that actually helps the people doesn't really benefit him financially. And this is the problem, because greed is so ingrained within our political structure that to them, if it's not financially advantageous for them personally, then they're not going to do it. And this is one of the reasons why we stood behind people who didn't take corporate money, was because if they don't take corporate money, then they don't see it as financially advantageous to do what corporations want. But because that's who got voted in, now we have a corporate shill that's going to be doing what they want. This is why, for instance, where we have him wanting to put in Cobra instead of a public option. This is why he actually expanded and approved, 1,300 permits for, oil drilling. This is one of the reasons why we have all these different things happening, which is actually making people's lives worse. So, yeah, Joe Biden gets an F, and Joe Biden will always get an F until he actually implements things that improve the material conditions of people's lives.
You made a good point earlier too about Biden wanting to cut Medicare. I'm gonna give you the reason why. So the whole thing is with budget reconciliation. Budget reconciliation was used actually by the Republicans when they wanted their tax cuts, and what they did and how they got through is the Democrats co-signed it, because apparently like included with PAYGO too, where you have to like label like how much something costs, and then you have to get a 60 vote majority in order to get it through. The Democrats did it to save Social Security and Medicare, knowing the tax cuts would actually be funded anyway. This is how bastardly evil the Republicans are and how good at their job. So in this context, Joe Biden is saying, look, you want the stimulus checks, okay, but I've been saying this whole time in my political career how we need to cut entitlements. Hey, I get to kill two birds with one stone, and I get your fucking vote. So that's basically what's going on right now. And here's why I think it's a double-edged sword. If you stop it, people get no relief checks, but you still have Social Security and Medicare. But if you go through with it, people get the relief checks, it burns out in a week, and then now you get more disastrous cuts to Social Security, Medicare for the parents, or for poor people, or for those who have medical conditions. And that's really the disastrous part. And also with the Democrats, there's this weird affiliation where you have to have one, but not the other. You can't have too much. But the Republicans are like, oh, you can't have any at all, fuck you. So it's just this, it's so annoying.
Yep, this is all great stuff. So I actually, we went a little long. I was planning on doing 2 hours, but we can do this all day. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you guys want to, anything in particular that you guys want to plug in? Any other topics that are important that you guys want to bring up before you wrap up?
There is something I do want to plug. And that is Free Black America podcast. We're doing a lot of things just like this episode. It is very, very important that we Black leftists define themselves in media. Otherwise, they think everybody is down with Obama, and that's something that Jackie said.
Yeah, very important.
Podcast, that is very, very important The erasing of black leftists is by design because they don't want other
So
black people to know there's black people who are actually leftists. Everybody's just down with, you know, uh, Barack Obama, and so that's to me, um, we, and that's us. Like you can't say those people. We have got to build a black leftist network of people talking out, and it's very important that we we cultivate that and we grow the black left.
Amen.
Black people are leftists. They just don't label themselves as such. Black people believe in a living wage. They believe in Medicare for all. They believe in a Green New Deal. They believe in all those things. They just don't make the connection that they're a leftist. They believe in that, and then they vote Democrats because Democrats virtue signal the things that they believe, even though they never get it. It's a whole game, and I'm just glad that I was able to break out of that mindset. Not even like less than a year ago, if you could imagine, I was a liberal. Not no, a little over a year, not less than a little over a year ago. I was a liberal. I was proud of voting for Barack Obama. I was watching MSNBC every day. I thought Rachel Maddow was great. I thought Chris Matthews was great. And it was just the great brainwashing. And I'm just so happy that I'm out of that mindset. But it's very, very clear that the black left, in order for the left to be strong, I feel like the black left needs to grow in order for the left to be strong, because the left has enough white people, for example. The left needs more other people. It needs more other of everything else. And of course, we would be accepting of white people, more white people too. But the point that I'm trying to make is, if the left has 100 people, too many times I'm seeing 90 of those people are all white.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there needs to be more, and it's up to us to get black people to understand you're really a leftist. Let me hear what do you believe in? This, and this. You understand this aligns with being a leftist, and then that's when you can start talking about different organizations, what you're doing on your YouTube, and so on. So that is something I just want to make sure everybody on here is pushing. It is absolutely important that is the case, that we grow the black left visibility. We're here. We just got to be more visible.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't put it better myself, and that's been something that been focused on mine. I saw your message earlier, Jackie. I literally just Googled how to make someone a mod, so I'm about to make you a mod now.
Damn, you really are a baby boomer.
Yeah, I literally just saw that message like 15 minutes ago, and I'm like, all right, I gotta look up how. I literally clicked every button. I'm like, bro, I couldn't find how to fucking do it. I literally had to Google it. I found it pretty easily. So I'm a boomer at heart. But what Jay Compton was saying was on the point, and that's been a focus on my show for a while. That's why we had the Black Rose Brigade that I was running late summer, early fall last year, because the idea was I wanted to use my platform to get a voice to black leftists. And that's what this panel was about, because when I was talking to these wonderful people here, my main thing, I was like, all right, let's make a black leftist media apparatus and let's bring it back. So you'll see a lot of work between me, Rome, Jay. I'm trying to be Jackie in, obviously RJ, Jaybefaunt, welcome. But we want this black on black news, like literally black leftists. I mean, make it our propaganda. We fight dirty with them. They have their propaganda. We got our fucking propaganda. I mean, that's what I want to happen. That's why I put this panel together, because this is almost like the return of Black Rose Brigade. I didn't want to call it Black. Maybe I'll do that next time. Maybe Black Rose Brigade season 2 or some shit like that. But I think these conversations are important. And you're gonna see a lot more collaboration between me, Jay Compton, Rome, and everyone else here. I mean, this is what I want to do, and hopefully you guys enjoying the conversation so far. We can end it there. I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I was planning on doing 2 hours, but we went 2.5, so we went a little long. But like when we did Black Rose, we did like once every week. I don't know if we had to do that, but maybe what bi-monthly. We can talk about that a little bit later. But I want to keep meeting like these, and we can break down current events. And we had our conversation with Jay Jackie and me on my Twitch. We're streaming, and you can check that. I'll put your YouTube link in the chat as well while you was talking. So you can check our conversation now on his YouTube page there. But you're gonna see a lot more of this. So I'm glad that we got a lot of comments. A lot of people seem to enjoy this conversation. So before officially, anything else you guys want to plug? I want to make sure everyone plug Rome, Jackie.
You know me. I'm the gingerbread man. You just gotta catch me when you can.
I like that.
I would say one thing I will plug is 3 podcasts I listen to. One is the Economic Update by Richard Wolff.
I love that show. Hell yeah.
Marxist, which I think is very influential if you want to learn about economics. One I will plug is Bad Faith Pod. I actually like that one that has Virgil Texas and Brianna Joy Gray. Another one I listen to occasionally is The Tightrope by Dr. Cornel West, Nick's favorite, and Trisha Rose. They do a great podcast too. They also did one too about the new movie that came out, Judas and the Black Messiah. I thought that was pretty well too. And the other one I listen to is Crystal Kyle and Friends. I think that's pretty interesting. They have some good dialogue. And, I think podcasts and stuff like that do help people because just 3 years ago, I used to be a conservative because, I was an Obama person. Then I became a libertarian. And so I went from an Obama stan to a Beto stan.
I remember
that was in the Beto phase. Hell yes, we'll take away your guns. That was God. And then I was a Mayor Pete stan. Then I became a Warren stan. Then I became a Bernie stan. So I slowly got in the right direction.
Yeah, me and Jackie, we discussed in great detail our liberal roots, and it's pretty interesting to hear Jay discuss his time as liberal. I literally just tweeted today. I was going through my closet and I found this shirt. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet. Maybe I'll show my audience here before we land. If you guys don't know what kind of shit lib I was honestly shocked when I saw this shirt. I was digging through my closet, cleaning some stuff up here for you guys. Check this out. We still have the dream. Obama 2008. And then next you see Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Malcolm X being compared to the
same shirt.
Yes. Like sorry I don't got it on the Zoom, but I got it on my stream. You can check my Twitter out as well. But I saw this shirt and I was like, bro, what the fuck was wrong with me? What the fuck? Bro, this is the dumbest shirt I've ever seen in my life. The only thing you can say in my defense was I guess this was technically before Obama was a war criminal, but he was never a Malcolm X or MLK leftist because he was always funny about Wall Street. He literally came out against his radical pastor. So I mean, I guess the shirt not bad, like as bad as it was then as it now, but because he didn't do all the things that would make it so the idea comparison. With him, MLK, Malcolm X, but it's still a horrific shirt. I mean, especially now, it's a horrific shirt. But so I'll show this to my stream. This was my, and I'll show my tweets before Obama. We all had that phase, and that's why it's very interesting. I'm glad you guys brought that up because it's crazy how quick you can turn. Only take good information. And that's why we out here doing our conversations because more black people need to hear it. Because I turn people just like that. Sorry, I'm going along again. Anything else you guys want to add, Jaybefaunt, Jackie? Anything?
Hey, once we go off live, you guys gonna stick around so I can chat with you a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Hey, I remember this shirt.
No.
Stay on when we go off live. Stay on so we can have a short conversation real quick.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that. I don't mind.
Okay.
I'm good, though. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, once again, we did be throwing more of the panel. I kind of did this in the middle out of nowhere. I was like, man, I want to do another fucking conversation with Compton, and I invited a lot of people, and it was fun. And I'm glad a lot of people enjoyed the conversation. So follow, subscribe.
If you cut off now, you are like permanently canceled, right?
No, I'm not cutting off. I'm good. I'm good.
Just saying.
I'm good. So follow, subscribe, check us out, because you're gonna see a lot more of us. And even when we don't have a super panel, you're gonna see me, Jay, me or Rome, me and RJ. You're already gonna see a duo of us. So you go ahead, Jay.
I just wanted to say to anybody who's listening, don't forget those of us who are infirm or disabled. A lot of times, a lot of people who are like that get forgotten. Especially those of us who are people of color, we get, forgotten a lot. And right right now, if you can help those who are in need of mutual aid, those who want to protest but they're unable to get out, you can do things to assist them, to get their voice out there. Just help support them, especially because they are the ones who get put on the back burner or not even put on the stove, period, by the liberals and conservatives. So if you can do that at the most, do the best you can with that, then that was greatly appreciated as well.
That's perfectly well said. That's literally the best way to end it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. You're going to see a lot more of this panel and even more. So thank you guys. This is the Progressive Martial Artist. Sign out. Hold up. Luckily it's not over. It's not over yet. I'll tell you, I kept it running.
That's over. We back it up. Let's go.
It wasn't over. It's not because I can't end the stream immediately. You already get cut off like I used to do. So Jackie, what you had to plug?
I gave you the hour. I was like, I know this fool's not gonna do it again.
Oh my god!
All right, Jackie, we
Like
have
he
to plug.
begging to get canceled or something.
Bro, Jackie gonna get my ass one day, man.
Mansplaining and shit.
Damn, you went through 5 people and we're like, all right, I'm out.
I suck at this. We learning.
Damn.
All right, what we got plugged, Jackie?
Hey, baby.
Is the stream still going?
Yeah, I didn't end it.
I want to plug my podcast, Cinematic Adventures. You can find it on cinematicaventurespodcast.com or just search for it because I'm on literally anywhere you can find podcasts, including Google.
Amen.
Check it out. I've seen it. I've seen an episode or 2. Check it out.
All right, we actually out this time. Check it out. I was on Jackie podcast talking about Black Panther. Peace out.